Good morning. Welcome into Herd At Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lula here at the Herd At Sports Bar and Grill. You doing all right there, DB? No, you have to put the headphones on to talk on the radio.
Just getting that out of the way.
I know you're struggling with the glasses a little bit there, but
I can't see.
how you doing this morning?
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, I'm fine.
You got to win. You should be in a good mood.
Yeah, I mean, I am. I'm going to leave it at that. It was a good win. It was a good win. I'm very particular. We're very particular.
No.
And Coach Huffman got us.
Put some points up on the board?
Nah, not really. I mean, a lot of activity, not a lot of achievement, but a couple of nice little play calls, man. 4th and 2, he took a shot. Got us for like 63 of them.
Yeah.
And caught us in what we call Zorro. And, we paid the price. But outside of that, I mean, it was fine. You know, Will Anderson is a tough customer.
Yeah, he's a tough matchup.
We tackled okay, but we gave him some shots. But he's a little more accurate than he'd been.
Mm-hmm.
But they went to a ton of quick game.
Yeah.
He was getting it out of his hands in a hurry, and we didn't really. I mean, we were content, right? Because especially once we got the big lead, but a lot of season left. I like the direction we're moving, so we're starting to come around.
We'll talk some more high school later when we get our guy Mike Sauter in here, but it's game day.
I like that.
I like game day.
It's weird. It's very odd to be working. First of all, I don't always enjoy being next to you, but it's awful weird. Like when we're close to each other, and I'm not going to. It's funny, Coach. I'm going to a Nebraska game and not a high school game.
It is weird. It's a little unusual.
Yeah, I have to behave myself.
I know it's hard for you.
So you know how I get on Friday mornings. I have to like ramp it down.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna let this one ride.
So you really can't ramp it down today.
I'm gonna let it ride.
You're coming off game last night.
Yeah.
Got the show this morning with all our fine friends here at Herd At Sports Bar and Grill.
A lot of Nebraska gear.
And well, you know, like I said, game day. They're probably going straight to Lincoln from here.
Wouldn't that be something? Oh boy. So what would you do? Do you just hang out?
I mean, that's kind of what normies do when they're not working in the booth and kind of doing your thing.
I don't know about that. I'll go sit in the studio by my lonesome.
I know you will. I think I'm riding down with our guy RP today.
That's cute. You guys gonna talk Seminoles?
Gonna hang out a little bit. No, probably mostly Nebraska. Not a lot to talk about with Florida State. Yeah. Not a lot to talk about there.
Will you beat Cal?
I don't think so.
No.
I think that team is broken.
Do we address him or just leave him be?
I think we should probably leave him be.
Hey, Shane, you're going to have a Beatles moment today.
Let's let it be.
Well, him too.
In his little Snoopy doghouse over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll be fine. He'll be all right.
So
Oh, come on, Shane.
I'm pretty. I think this one's going to be interesting. I don't know about a true litmus test, but I think this will give us a good indication. And if you're Illinois, you're not quite. It's different for them because they need two of these next three, because it gets pretty tough. Just don't let it be this one.
Yeah, well, because we talked to Robert yesterday from Illini board, and they go. I mean, their next 4 or 5 game stretch is brutal.
Yeah,
they got at Nebraska, at Penn State, at Oregon, and at Michigan.
And then they get Purdue in there too.
They get Purdue at home in there.
He's hoping to go 2-3,
which I think would be a great result for Illinois.
I don't care what you do as long as
this isn't one of the two.
Get in the win column. Correct.
I do kind of wonder. You know, you mentioned it being a litmus test or whatever.
Kind of.
Well, a possible one. That depends a lot on how good you think Illinois is, right?
Well, apparently, yeah. I mean, no. You're talking about as a fan or me?
I mean, if you're trying to accurately evaluate the team.
So, for me, I'm looking. This is super boring and it's not fun and it's not neat and cool. But I'm looking for Nebraska to be better than they were last week. So, here's the thing, and I think this is what Coach Rule and the staff has been trying to say. At some point, it can't be about the opponent, and it won't be about the opponent. I just don't know if we're there yet. So if I'm looking to evaluate Nebraska,
Sure.
There's progress that I want to see made for them, which I think is independent
Mhm.
of the opponent.
So let me switch a little bit on you here because Coach Rule can do
pretty,
that.
Pretty good at that.
I'm a little squirmy. Coach Rule has information, obviously, that most of us outside the program don't have, right? So it's much easier for him to evaluate them against themselves than it is fans who kind of have to use some sort of frame of reference, right? And that's generally the opponent. If you're sitting from a fan perspective and you go, okay, Illinois is probably the best team they've faced so far. Although I will be interested to see what the rest of Colorado's season looks like. But even if they're
have you convinced yourself that Colorado's a good team?
No, I think they're like maybe a 5-6 win team.
Okay.
But I don't know that Illinois is going to be a ton more than 6 wins either. Now, different conferences, I understand that. But you kind of look at it and go, okay, even if Colorado and Illinois are about the same, which I don't know if they are, Illinois is a team stylistically that probably matters more to us in terms of moving forward than Colorado is. Is that fair?
Sure. I'm just listening.
Okay. Well,
I know sometimes
I like to check in.
I know sometimes you accuse me of not.
I like to check in with you from time to time.
Oh, did I blink?
You're doing a lot of weird stuff with your face today.
Listen, you know what time my garage opened and closed? I didn't eat till 11.
Yeah. Well, I got a pretty late night too. I was out hanging out with our guy Marty Cordero.
I'm sure that was a barrel of laughs. That was old MC.
I laughed once.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny.
Marty's a funny dude.
No, Marty's good. Marty was the funniest one there, I thought.
Well, good on Marty.
Yeah, he was good. He was good. Got his face on the bar room floor.
That's pretty cool. So my guy goes in December, Noddle.
Does he?
December 5th.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I got plenty of material for that roast.
Are you roasting him?
I don't know if I said, you want rib roast? You want like chuck roast? I got plenty of roast.
We got Terrence Knighton. We got pot roast over there.
We got a lot of pot. I don't do pot roast, but I do love Knighton. They got to have a big game tomorrow.
They do.
Or tonight.
I know it's weird. We talked yesterday with that middle of that Illinois line. I think this is a Ty Robinson game.
You're talking about center guard for Illinois? Yeah, I mean, he's part of it. But I think, so now you'll see if Illinois has any semblance of some sort of run game and they want to be consistent with it, it's a D-line game.
Yeah.
Right? I get it. Ty's the focal point because he's off to a monster start. But I think Nash gets more snaps now the more that this team wants to run the ball, if they want to run the ball. In my opinion, if I'm game planning this game for tonight, I think Illinois starts trying to throw the ball to run the ball.
Loosen it up. Yeah, and that's kind of something they've done a little bit more this year. That's the opposite of what we kind of think of Brett Bielema typically, right? Is, hey, let's pound the rock, take a shot. They've kind of had to do the opposite because I don't think that defense or that offensive line is great this year.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to give them a little bit. So that'll be interesting to see. There's a ton of stuff to get into with Illinois and Nebraska. The one thing I want to get to make sure we actually get to it is we've heard a lot, especially yesterday, about the vaunted too high safety look of Illinois. What? You seem skeptical at best.
I apologize because, I mean, I get sometimes we're on stream or all the time.
I would say we're on camera all the time, so it's not like you can normally hide your face. It's just now you can hear people laughing at you for it.
It's like this. It's not new.
No.
Like we've seen this before.
But it's become this thing.
Right.
We control the narrative, so we got to be careful here.
Oh, that's an easy job we have. Shout out Dennis. I don't know why people are saying that, right? Because a couple things can be true at once. So I do like Illinois pre-snap. They move. So do a lot of teams.
And you like their safeties?
They do have pretty good safeties. I like them as a tandem. But this whole, I feel like this whole too high thing versus whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even sure Mel Kiper would know, like, what's the alternative, Mel?
Yeah.
Now, if Mel said, you know what, like, there's too much too high, I'd like to see a little more, and then said something.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be like, oh, okay, I'm listening. What's the point?
What's the something?
Because we've played with two safeties forever. Is he talking about types of defense? Is he talking about shell? Is he talking about umbrella? Is it too much cover two? Peyton Manning. Here's something interesting. Peyton Manning made a living throwing against cover what? 2. Do you know how many safeties there are in cover 2? 2. That was in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah. That's almost
20 years ago.
It's 20 years ago. So this has been around for a while. So, I mean, Ronnie Lott played next to Eric Wright. So it's like,
I mean, do we not remember the Tampa 2?
What number is in there? So I don't get the whole. That's why I roll my eyes.
Yeah, it's been a thing for a while.
Yeah, what he's talking about is defenses have gotten lighter and faster. They play more nickel and dime.
Yeah. Instead of having a guy that looks a little bit more like a linebacker.
Yeah, there is no deep hole guy that could. It would be hard maybe for Ronnie Lott to play safety in 2024. I mean, he'd find a place on the field, but he's not going to be he's not going to be a traditional deep hole safety.
Yeah.
Ed Reed would have to change roles, right? So it's like, sure, I get it, but don't. Now what's happening is people just
it's a boogeyman.
Yeah, he's regurgitate stuff without even knowing what they're talking about. So that's why you get the eye roll.
Oh, I know, but I literally think he's just talking about that. You've got now 2 fast guys at safeties, 2 guys that traditionally would have been free safeties.
What people play now is a shell, right? Then, they do not want you to get vertical.
Yeah, they want it, which makes sense. They want you to have to beat them driving the ball.
Well, if you can't touch guys in the slot or put your hands on everybody, or you get the cheapy dumb first down for an illegal contact,
then you're not stopping the short passing game anyway.
I wouldn't touch those guys either,
right? Yeah. Like if all that's set up so that you can't stop the short passing game anyway, then why commit your resources to try and do a thing you can't do?
If he wants defenses and secondaries to be more aggressive, then change the rules. Should you get 65 yards for pass interference? It seems a little excessive.
It might be a little aggressive.
Yeah.
Might be a little over the top.
So, I mean, there's lots of things you can do other than regurgitating something I don't think you have a really good grasp of.
And I really think he's just talking about A, the types of guys playing safety, and B, the fact that one of them isn't playing closer to the line of scrimmage. I think that's all he's talking about. And a really good, easy way to beat that?
Run the ball.
Just run the football.
Run the ball. Yeah, and Coach, we just heard it in the open in Shane's montage there, which was pretty good, Shane. I mean, I didn't really get goosebumps this time, but it's not a shot at you.
If you don't love it, leave it. USA, #1.
Love the Ira reference there, too. That's cute.
They got a pickle.
Okay.
You see, we have to deal with.
Lucky for you guys, that day is not today.
Don't press right here on the larynx. Just right.
You got to collapse the airway.
We kind of talked about this.
So the DJ can't spin. I guess not.
Coach Rule has talked about how he wants to play, and the NFL is already starting to do it.
Yeah,
it's going to be kind of this NFL model where you get. Did we just not watch the Jets last night?
Yeah,
it was pretty boring in the second half, right?
Yeah,
they get a dub.
Yeah. That looked a lot like Nebraska in a couple of these second halves.
Yeah, that's gonna be exactly their formula. So I think we better get used to it. And here's the thing: it's not like it's a bad thing. You're gonna be in more games than not playing that way, especially when you're not out athleting or have elite level talent to just go out and ruin folks.
Don't you tell Coach Rule that?
I won't.
Don't you tell him that because he tells you he's got Sunday guys.
Well, he does.
I know.
He can say that.
I'm saying
he just doesn't have enough of them yet.
I think he thinks he's getting there.
No, that's fine. I'm not dying on that hill.
I will say I think it's kind of funny because I talked to a buddy of mine last night.
You have those?
Just a couple, not a lot. I try and keep it to the close circle.
Paid or no?
No. This one goes back all the way in the day.
Back in the day?
Back in the day. No, and he was asking about if I thought they were going to start opening things up a little bit. And I was like, I think offensively, you may see some different things. But I was like, if they're up 28-0, they're not going to try and be up 56-0. They don't care.
Do you want to know why I also roll my eyes?
Why is that?
There's a few people in this room that can probably remember when Nebraska would squeeze the rock, right? They would run the ball. And it seemed pretty boring.
We
right?
brought up the 94 team
they throw
after
the- we-
Colorado.
We throw the ball 12 times a game. That wasn't all that exciting. Trust me.
12
right?
seems high, but yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
It's just like, well, what are we talking about? So
Well, we did the same thing with Michigan last
I
year.
was a part of that, and that wasn't sexy either. And all they did was just kill people, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I try to be patient,
I mean,
but I'm all of it. Winning is really, really, really hard. So I want to worry about winning and getting notches in the W column, and then we can critique what it looks like. And even then, I don't know if I would.
I was saying, it doesn't mean we will, but
Right? It's like,
yeah.
You want Iowa to apologize for how they win? Fudge, I'd like to go 12-0 playing ugly.
Yeah, I would take that.
Right?
You take 12-0 playing
Yeah,
ugly.
they've done that in the last 10 years.
I mean, I just want to revisit a team from last year, right?
Yeah.
Win versus East Carolina, 30-3. Win versus UNLV, 35-7. Win versus Bowling Green, 31-6. Win versus Rutgers, 31-7.
I know who that is.
I know you know who this is.
That's Michigan.
Win versus Maryland, 31-24.
Yeah.
Win versus Iowa, 26-0.
Mm-hmm.
Any of those sound super duper sexy?
Mm-mm.
No. What did they end up doing last year?
They ran the table.
They won a national title.
Yeah.
Like I remember every time, especially early in the season, those first 4 games that I rattled off through East Carolina through Rutgers, and I remember people going, "Oh, I mean, why aren't they blowing anybody out? Are they not that good?" And Jim Harbaugh was doing the exact same thing last year that we saw last week against the Raiders, and just was last week against the Raiders or 2 weeks, either one, and just beats their head in. He just beats their head, and it doesn't matter. Like, that's a very NFL mindset.
Yeah, and I don't think we're overdoing this, right? About the how we win, because
No,
we've heard the staff address it. We heard each coordinator. We heard Coach Rule address it. We heard
almost
each coordinator.
everybody I talked to talks about it.
And I know that there's a lot of people in like our friends' sphere of influence that talk about this too, right? Like these style points. And I have to be very careful because I do like having associates. I think friends can sometimes be overrated, but I do like associates because I don't always like talking to myself because that would suck. But hello, friend. Hello. I do think a lot of we haven't earned the right to be talking about style points.
No.
I think that's if you what's your problem aside of many?
With this specifically.
With this specifically,
Yeah.
we haven't earned the right to critique how we win.
Also, can we be real about something here? Style points get you nothing.
Not anymore.
Really, it doesn't.
There's not even any incentive to
That's why the NFL model makes more sense.
There's not even any incentive now to schedule a certain way.
No.
You're playing to get in.
Get to 10-2.
That's
If you're in a major conference, get to 10-2.
You're playing to get in the tournament.
That's it.
And it's and I think this isn't like revisionist history, but this is a conversation we had. You're like, oh, DB, man, you're no fun. You don't want the playoffs to expand. I'm like, you know what I do like? I like conference uniformity, and I like for the regular season to matter. Neither one of those things happened before we went to 12. And so what's the incentive for coaches to lay it on the line?
Yeah.
Why would I schedule anything other than what I have to? That's why you're not going to get Oklahoma. You're not going to get Tennessee. That's just the nature of the beast, especially when you're still playing 9 conference games and you let these other people play 8.
Yeah.
I feel like these are like the human filters. All right.
DB, you know that people can hear us every day, right?
I know, but sometimes I can say things under my breath or I could pull a Dominic Foxworth.
Your hips are fine.
I think your hips are just fine. But anyway, again, never mind. Not doing the whole IG live thing.
It's dangerous. You got to be careful there. That's the one place you can't find us. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, not on IG because that gets a little dicey. But what I will say is I think you're right in the sense that especially now, there's no reason to win pretty. There's no reason to schedule tough, especially if you're in a major conference, right? If you're in the Big 12 and the ACC, you better schedule tough.
Maybe.
Because unless you win that thing and don't have if you don't have if you're 10-2 in the Big 12 or ACC, you don't feel good.
How many non-power fours get in? One?
One for sure.
Okay, so
But you're not fighting against the Power Four, or you're not.
I know you're thinking at minimum every year, 3 from the SEC, 3 from the Big 10. And
a lot of years, I think you're going to get 4.
That's what people say, but we'll see.
I think, yeah. We don't know yet,
we'll see. And it may take top 2 in the Big 12 and top. Now you can't be a 3-loss team perennially in the ACC and
have
Big
any
12.
hope.
So, but I do think you could go 2. What's 2, 2, 3, 4? 11?
4 is 7. Yes, 11.
So, I mean, so roughly. And
But
that's if you think you're going to get 4 in the SEC. And I mean, I guess because we have 4 in the top 10 right now.
Yeah. I think you're just as likely a lot of years to get 4 from the Big 10 as you are from the SEC.
Yeah, you know what? Go Vanderbilt. And it's not because of Dom Rizak. Like, you need the Missouris of the – like –
You need the Missouris, the Kentuckys, those teams of the SEC.
not necessarily – but like when I look at – like if I look at Missouri and I see that they're number 6 in the country or 5, and it's a 12-team playoff, I don't look at Missouri and think, oh, my gosh, man, Nebraska, you're never getting in a 12-team playoff. I look at Missouri and I think, shoot, anything's possible.
Yeah, I look at Missouri and I was
so it's like,
how much better are they than Nebraska?
So that's why I hate the assumption, because nobody would say that about Nebraska, right?
Right.
That's why I hate the assumption that because the SEC is the SEC, they get 4. Like, I don't watch Missouri and watch Nebraska and think, oh, my God, man, we would get rolled. But
it's the starting place.
No, and that matters because it's perception.
Right.
So I'm not speaking it into existence to say, well, the SEC should get blank. Because they already feel that sense of entitlement, and we placate. Like, we lay down for them just because they beat their chest and say, well, we should get 4. I'll go be good.
Yeah, well, they're not going to play anybody good outside of their conference. So
because we didn't demand it before we invited more people to the party.
We may never find out. We're inviting a lot of people to the party this morning. We'll set up the show coming up next. Welcome back to Herd Out Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lula here on the Pillar Exterior stage for our live breakfast this morning, brought to you by EP Foundation Repair. I want to set up the show for you real quick because we
probably should do that.
Yeah, every once in a while. It's good to tell people what's going on.
Do you wonder how that something so simple gets away from us almost every day?
Setting up the show?
Yeah.
We're just here to have a good time. That's why I'm here, at least. I don't know.
All right. Chris and Sasha are like, what are these yahoos doing?
That's why they send out the tweet every morning, because they know we're not going to get to it.
I should have probably done that. Like, I've been trying to get better.
Maybe.
Baby steps.
We going to retweet the stream again or not?
Yeah, you didn't ask me.
I haven't asked you for a few weeks. I thought maybe
Sasha,
you'd learn on your own.
Listen, it was all I could do. Sasha, was it not a struggle? I had got everything set up by myself. And she's like, yes. I was like, see, I didn't need Ravi. And I unplugged everything too, so I was super clueless. So to get me to like be able to retweet the stream without you telling me,
it's all right.
It's a lot of stretching.
Remember when I told you I didn't like coaching anymore?
Why?
Because I like to tell people one thing and then just assume they're going to do it after that.
Yeah, I get it.
It's all right. I'm back in the coaching game again. I got you, DB.
Yeah.
I'm all in.
Thought you got away from kids, didn't you?
I did.
Take that bag of peas and shove it.
Age is just a number.
You're winning.
Exactly.
Coming up on the show today, we got Larry Martin. He's the head football coach at Omaha North. At 8 o'clock, we've got Tim Verghese from Inside Nebraska.
Verghese.
That's not how you pronounce it. He's not Italian.
My bad.
It's not like Inglourious Bastards or anything.
Never seen it.
I know. You should. It's
God, you love that show.
It's a great movie.
I bet it sucks.
Anybody seen Inglourious Bastards in here? Anybody see? Good movie? Yes?
Oh, he's a friend.
Yeah.
That doesn't count.
Yeah, see, they know.
No.
Just because you have bad taste. I can't help that.
That's impeccable.
Coming up at 9, we got Mike Sauter from Herd Out Sports and NAB Preps. Talk a little more high school. And at 9:45, of course, we got the one and only Matt Verzal.
Thank goodness his Jets won, because that crybaby would have been complaining.
I know, but he's going to be even. He's
Sounds
one of
about right.
He's one of those people though that like is a sore loser and a worse winner.
Yeah. Or we don't have to listen to him talk about how hard he works.
With arms wide open.
With arms wide open, he works real hard to get those Jets W's. I think. I think that's
part of the deal. But we are wishing his daughter the best.
Yeah. So. Hope everything's going good there.
It's Leighton, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Little cutie pie.
I don't know. I only half read texts, so.
No, I'm pretty sure it's Leighton.
Okay.
I don't think it's Lily.
So we'll talk to Mike at 9. He might be over the phone instead of in person here. I know it's a disappointment to all of our friends coming out here at Herd Out Sports Bar and Grill, but we'll talk to him nonetheless.
I smell sandwiches.
I know you're gonna be so distracted as these sandwiches start rolling out
Squirrel.
here. You're like, where? I mean, you're berating people over picking bacon over sausage.
That was not a what's the adjectival form?
Beratement.
I wasn't.
I don't know if that's a word or not.
I simply asked. I like bacon more than sausage.
But you like the sausage sandwich better than the bacon sandwich.
Correct.
Okay.
I think bacon is a waste on.
I don't like. I guess the main meat on a sandwich.
I think it's a waste.
I will never order a BLT.
I complete that. You do you. I don't want to agree with you, but separate to what he said, I agree.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to agree with you, but I agree.
Yeah.
What you just said.
Yeah. You know how many 8-man things we dealt with yesterday pregame? It was incredible.
No, I don't.
I was like,
what happened?
I said, listen to the segment. No, I wasn't mad. It was cool.
That's what I did. I tried to get Sasha to make me a T-shirt. She said not to poke the bear.
Really?
Yeah, she did. I was like, oh, I thought we were standing on business here, but that's all right.
Yeah, Sasha.
She thought
She'd pull out her earpiece. What?
thought she could help me out here, and she's like, no.
She only pretends to not be able to hear.
I will not make you a T-shirt to antagonize 3/4 of the state.
You know, when you like go out in public and you pretend to be on your phone. That's why she puts that ear.
Oh,
thing
100%. Dude, Avery does the same thing to me in the press box. She puts the earbuds in because she sits next to me every day. And I don't think she's listening to anything. I think she's just like, I don't want to talk to Robbie, so I'm going to pretend like I have to take it out to talk to him.
Do you know where she may have you beat? Her ability,
a lot of places. She's a lot better at her job than I am.
Her ability to process and text real time is
it's unbelievable.
It's pretty impressive.
It's because she grew up in that generation. She's like 10 years younger than me, more than that actually, because I'm old. But that like people in their early to mid 20s, their ability to text and do stuff while they're processing information is unbelievable.
She's like sending clips from what's going on there. She's got game questions and like little commentary, like totally real time.
And she can like carry on a conversation while that's happening.
Like, okay.
I don't know how my brain's too smooth for that. I can't do all that at the same time.
Well, you're too busy trying to be right. Well, actually.
Oh, that's our guy Steven over there. Oh, how are the older guys gonna take it?
We couldn't have been more wrong about him.
I know. It still shakes me a little bit. I'm shooketh.
That's why you never know.
That's right. I still can't wait to see what Denny looks like.
Didn't I show you?
I don't remember.
He looks like Dennis the Menace.
Yeah, a little bit.
No, exactly.
That's exactly what I thought he would look like, actually.
Yeah, I told you we need the young guys.
I still don't know who. There was another one of our listeners that I was like, that's not how I would have pictured him. I can't remember who it was. It wasn't Asian Wyatt. That was pretty much on point.
Yeah, where is Korean?
I know.
Wyatt? He'll be here.
Where's my tough hangs?
Hey, listen, getting those girls moving in the morning.
Man, I can barely get myself going in the morning.
Who are you telling?
I beat you here almost every day, just not today.
I would say it's probably
Shane. What's the number? What's the real number?
64.
119.
119%. I think that's right. I think that's accurate. The first time I've ever agreed with Shane.
I'm apologizing. Yeah,
that's my guy Hollywood over there.
Simba, I'm very disappointed in you.
Knock it off.
See, I got to take my shots now when there's people around and you can't fight back.
Look, I had to cross my hands.
I know. You're going to take the headset off pretty soon. You'll be like, I got to eat some of this honey over here. What is that even doing here?
I drank it. Didn't you missed it?
I did miss it.
First of all, my voice is shot.
You don't even like honey.
It's terrible.
That's a bad take.
It's just one of those things I got.
Okay.
Most of what I
use it for allergies.
Does that work?
You have to get locally sourced, but yeah.
Okay.
It's the pollen from the bees. See, she knows. She knows.
You want to be my Jeopardy partner? Are you smart like that normally?
We do have trivia at the bar sometimes. You got to check out our scroll and the ads.
Isn't it?
If
music?
you read the ads, you would know.
I started reading the ads.
You only look for the food, though.
Well, Genius over here said she was going to put the things on the television, but apparently we didn't get them in soon enough.
She's
like, Simadonna.
I'm not sure you want to fight with her today.
I don't. See, listen, I'm 15 years in with her. I get it.
That's
Or
true.
12 or however many. More than 10.
Yeah,
It's fine.
it's all right. You're only about a year in with me, so
Thank you, sweet baby Jesus. Thank the Lord.
not sure we're gonna make it to 15. Just trying to make it to Monday.
Baby
Thank you,
steps.
dear baby Jesus.
You want to talk about your favorite baseball player of all time?
My favorite team of all
Your
time.
favorite baseball player of all time, Shohei Ohtani?
Yeah, incredible.
That was I actually. So I don't have any affinity for Shohei at all. Like I just don't care because he never played for one of my teams. Like, but that I was kind of rooting for him to get to 50-50. Just because I like when cool stuff like that
Yeah,
happens.
2 days ago you gave him 10 games.
Well, I asked how many games were left because I wanted him to get there.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, don't worry about it. I'll just do it tomorrow.
It's pretty incredible.
All of it.
I told our AD it was probably so WS hadn't come out yet, so it was probably 5:15.
Mhm.
And I said, yeah, for the record, my guys just hung a 20 spot on the Marlins, and I hadn't even really gotten into like the
box score or anything yet?
the stats because
You're busy.
right.
Got some stuff going on.
So when I walked out onto the field, our chain guy
Mhm.
is a huge Dodgers fan. So it's weird, multitask, or you'd call it lack of paying attention, but
Yeah.
I call it multitasking. So
It's only multitasking when you get both things done.
warming up or whatever, and we're always talking about like the Dodgers.
Yeah.
It's almost never football. It's always the Dodgers. He's the one that broke the news about Kershaw potentially going under the knife, and I hadn't heard it yet.
Yeah.
And everybody's our boy. Like he'll say, "Hey, did you hear about our boy, or did you hear about your boy?" And so I wasn't really clear what he was talking about,
Mhm.
and he just started rattling off the stats. I go, "Shoot, man, that'd be a heck of a month."
It's a good week.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
No,
it was
that's
in
just one day.
7.5 innings.
Thank God for the Marlins.
Oh, knock it off. You
No,
apologize?
it's incredible no matter what. I
You
mean,
apologizing for the opponent again?
No.
White Sox still win games.
not very many.
He's such a hater.
I'm not. You're the one that doesn't like Shohei.
Would you stop painting me in that corner? Wow.
You think he's overrated? It's okay.
Where's Korean Wyatt?
Well, you want Asian Wyatt to defend the Japanese guy? Come on, man.
No,
What are we doing here?
I want a real friend. It's me and Doogie Clint just riding solo.
Few and far between. That's DB. I'm Robbie Lula. We'll be back with head coach Larry Martin of Omaha North coming up next. Wrapping up hour number 1 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Robbie Lula. We are joined now by head coach of Omaha North, Larry Martin. Coach, how are you this morning?
Well, we're doing great. Thank you.
Coach, how we doing, bud? I love to hear the voice, man. Usually, you used to be a lot closer to me than over the phone, but how you're hanging in there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's been a little warm week, as you well know, Coach. Good to hear your voice as well, and good to see you a little bit, a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, my voice would normally be better, but sometimes we get a little chatty on the sidelines with the old officials. So
Never you.
No. So I'm struggling a little bit this morning, man. You guys ready to go?
Yeah, we truly are. We've had a good week, even though with the heat, but we've had a good week of practice, and we're ready to take our kids out of Omaha and really looking forward to it to go represent our district.
Yeah, quietly, you have a huge fan in our household that isn't me. I was riding home with Mike after the game last night, and he was asking about who's on the coach's corner, and I said, "Oh, we're going to have Coach Martin," and he looked at me. It's just the two of us in the car, deadpan, straight face, Coach. He goes, "And you better not sleep on North because they're going to get to the Final Four and see you guys again. So stay dialed." I said, nothing says Micah like that. But you kind of have to believe, especially with your schedule and kind of your strength of schedule. Like if you can hang in there, you got a chance to be pretty good.
Yeah, to me, Coach, it's just been completely about getting our kids to be able to concentrate for the 2 hours and 2 hours and 15 minutes of practice and carry that over the game. You got to earn that right, I believe, during the week. And so our kids have gotten better at that. And we start lumping some some good practices together every day. Obviously we're a little young on the back end on defense, and they're going to continue to grow up as long as they work hard. And so we're getting there. I'm really excited where we're getting to, and just look forward to the opportunity to get them back out there on the field and compete again.
Coach, I don't want to make too much out of the trip out to Kearney, but I know for some teams, I know you went out to Grand Island last year, but for some teams, they'll go years without leaving hardly the Omaha-Lincoln area. How much do you have to prepare differently when you got to take guys a little bit further outside their bubble?
Well, we put them down. I think it's important to get out of the cities and go play. I have a lot of respect for that community out there in Grand Island and Kearney and Norfolk. Those communities totally embrace their athletic programs. And so, just the other message I usually send, because, is that you got to be able to play well on the road to go win to get into the semifinals or have an opportunity to win a state championship. So, to me, it's just making sure that you got enough time, the kids are taken care of, and get out there, get a little walk around before you get ready to go, and get in the right mindset.
Coach, obviously, Kearney coming off a game against Millard South, and we talked to Coach Cool last week, and he was gracious enough to come on Friday, even though they played on Thursday. And he talked about it being a learning process and getting back to the basics from a simplistic standpoint. When you watch them on tape, what are some of the things that you're thinking as a coach that you'd like to take away?
Well, takeaway-wise, their quarterback is a very talented young man. You got to really communicate defensively. They use a lot of motion to put get your kids thinking, and getting lined up correctly and making sure that if you're changing your coverages and what have you, or your front. And then they mix in enough option responsibility with their sprint option and making sure that, your guys are staying sound and getting on the right guys. But, those of us that have been doing long enough, and especially when you get against a very well-coached and talented team like Millard South, things can get sideways in a hurry. And that's, no disrespect towards Millard South at all. But, they got a very well-coached, talented team. And when you get that offense that they're going and you get it on your heels, boy, it can get going. So I know that their kids are going to be ready. They're very disappointed, I'm sure, the way that they played last week. I'm sure it's been a long week for them, and they're excited to be at home in front of their fans and redeem themselves a little bit. So we're definitely going to have our hands full tonight, but it's one that, we've tried to prepare our kids for, and I think they're up for the challenge.
Coach, I always like to ask other coaches this, especially when you're about a third of the way through your regular season. I like to ask, if you could snap your fingers and change or fix one thing about your team so far that you've seen, like, where would you start?
For me, offensively, we've stopped ourselves with penalties.
Mm-hmm.
So the mental part of it has been something that I felt that when we get some drives going or get some things going, we've stopped ourselves on offense. Defensively, flipping it around too is just our back end. They've got to continue to get in their run fits, stay solid on their coverages. They got to communicate, keep good body language when things don't go well, and get back in that competitive mind spirit. We talk about that all the time. You're going to screw up out there on the field, but the better players that I've ever coached are able to get back into that competitive mind spirit after they've made a mistake. And so that part of it, and so I guess that's what I would say for us, is that I think we've made some strides in that. They've shown me that in the games, but yet also in practice.
Coach, I know you don't really like to single guys out, but you talked about young in some places and your youth. But, man, you got a couple of juniors. One, I think, flies way under the radar just because of the position he plays, and that's Dortch. But Darian Jones obviously coming into his own. And listen, 10, 11, 12, and I don't know what grade Max is in, but with Clark. But, I mean, you go 10, 11, 12, you guys are strong up the middle, and that's not just being able to count in order in terms of their numbers. You guys got some fellas.
Yeah, definitely. Max has done a great job of taking over the leadership on that defensive side of the ball. He's our inside linebacker, and he's pretty much become the leader out there, which is great.
I'm not used to seeing anybody wear 10 that's that big. I mean, you have the Jason
Right.
Martins of the world and little guys.
No doubt.
He's a load.
He is, and the thing I've appreciated about Max is he's really studied film off the field, and when he's coming in on Mondays, he's you know, oh yeah, you know, you can see where the game plan's being built around, and then, you know, Darian, you know, yes, you know, he's full of athletic ability. We're trying to harness it. What I've tried to get him to embrace is being that leader back there on the back end. We need to kind of, he is a captain. He got voted as a captain as a junior, and so our kids look up to him, and he's embraced that. But once again, you know, and then offensively, he's getting his routes down with our quarterback, and you know, he's a very explosive young man, and he's got a very, very bright future in front of him because he's still starting, you know, still growing, and you know, he works tremendously hard.
Where would you put Dortch in terms of his ability to get down into the box and
Coach,
tackle?
You're echoing on me. Who was the young man that you asked me about? I couldn't quite hear you.
Jermaine Dortch.
Oh yeah, Jermaine. I'm sorry. Yeah, you know, Jermaine is a hitter.
Oh yeah.
He's athletic. He can run. He's dangerous on the special teams. He's a competitor. You know, he got beat in the state championship in wrestling last year, so he's obviously a very talented young man. So, you know, for Jermaine, it's just, you know, the concentration piece of being dialed in for 4 quarters and really embracing that to allow him to enhance his play. But he could play, and he's physical.
Coach, I want to ask you about, you mentioned, you know, the timing with quarterback. I want to ask about Mikey Gow. How has he kind of developed and grown throughout the season so far?
Well, you know, the first thing about Mikey is, you know, obviously we're still getting to know him, and he hasn't played in a lot of varsity football games. And so, but he's just embraced it. You know, for him to come in here, you know, in the spring of last year and just basically win our team over. He's a competitor. He works hard. He's one of the first ones out on the field, one of the last ones to leave every day. He's throwing extra times with the kids in the summer. He knows what it takes to be good. And, you know, so I still believe that his, you know, he's played pretty well for us, but he knows he can play better, and he's got a big upside to him too. And so just excited for him, very work-orientated young man, and wants to be very good. And there's a lot to be said about that, about kids that really want to enhance their play and get better.
You know, I wasn't going to let you get out of here without asking you about TNT, Tyson Terry. You know, we've all coached players that we're close to and have known forever, and you've done this as long as you have, and that definitely fits the bill. But got to be special to see him through his senior year and his loyalty and commitment to you.
No doubt. You know, Tyson is going to go down as, you know, we'll keep working hard, and you know, he's just an infectious leader is what I've said to people. I mean, he does not take a day off in the classroom. He's got straight A's again this year. So far, he's in the weight room every day, brings it every day on the practice field. He gives it all. We're asking a lot out of him. We've got to be careful here a little bit. You know, he's played a significant amount of reps in the game, so we've got to think big picture on that as well too. But you know, just a very humbled young man, very infectious leader, and has embraced his role on our team. I know he's, you know, a really good D lineman, but where we're at in our program's at, we needed him to play on the offensive line this year as well, and we're giving him some breathers on defense. So, but you know, he's the real deal. He may go down as the you know, one of the more talented kids, if not the most talented kid I've ever had, and that's, I'm blessed about him.
Coach, best wishes and safe travels.
You bet. Great to hear your voice, Coach, and we'll be in touch. Okay, thanks for having me.
That's Larry Martin, head coach of Omaha North. We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Radio and Tim Verghese coming up next. Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lula here on the Pillar Exterior stage. We're joined now by our guy, Tim Verghese from inside Nebraska. Tim, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going, y'all?
Apparently my voice sounds like trash, Tim, according to our live listeners. So how are you feeling? Wow, and he's like,
I think your voice sounds good.
So, you know what? Thank you. You know, I'm insecure. I felt like you were laughing at me.
You don't have to placate him, Tim. It's fine.
What if Tim was like, yeah, it does suck.
He's like, yeah, that was terrible.
Tim, are we ready for a game that I don't know? I feel like every time out it's like a referendum, but this isn't really a referendum, I think. But it is the best test that Nebraska's had. Are we prepared to kind of negotiate that?
I think yeah. I mean, like it's the way you put it. It's just like I think this is the culmination of the first 3 weeks. Like you got the run look last week. You've gotten like an opportunity to see like what a potent passing offense looks like. You've been able to string some drives together offensively. You've been able to close out some games. Now it's just about putting all of that together and showing you can finish out a game. I think Nebraska gets it today, but I don't think this is going to be the hardest fight they've dealt with. This is going to be the hardest opponent they've dealt with. And I'm really interested to see, like, my main thing right at this point is just like, can this team finish out a game? Like, what does this look like in the third and fourth quarter when it's still like a potentially one-score game?
Tim, are we going to do this every week? Like, it feels like we kind of have done this, not you and us talking. We are going to do that every week. But it feels like we've done this every week with Nebraska, right? Like, UTEP was like, okay, can they take care of business against an inferior opponent? And then Colorado was, oh, we got the Demons from last year. And then you and I was like, oh, they got the big running game. And this year it's the Big Ten opener. Next week it's going to be the first road game. And then Rutgers wants to make it ugly. And then we got football Jesus, Kurt Signetti. And, like, we got are we just going to do this every week?
Yeah, I mean, and part of it, I think, like, again, like, I think today could help. Like, if today they win decisively, I think going into next week, you're like, oh, well, they should handle business. Like, I mean, obviously, there's going to be a thing with the first road test, but
Purdue's
I think
bad.
part of it, too, is just.
Like, Purdue's bad,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, Purdue's bad. I mean, Purdue and UCLA.
Don't let him off the hook. He earlier at Pinnacle Bank during the championship, he was saying Purdue that'd be an acceptable loss.
No, you said that. I said Rutgers.
He's
lying to you, Tim. Don't worry about it.
People that look like us say that's called switching it up.
Well, people that look like me and Tim agree with each other, so you can go. Sorry, continue.
I'm sorry, Tim.
Yeah, I like Purdue. I think Nebraska will be able to handle business there. Like, again, like that road test. Like, that's my thing though. It's like if they're not able to get up for a road game against what I've so far has looked like a bad team. Like, if you can't get up for that, I feel like that answers a lot more questions about how the rest of the season could potentially go than it doesn't. Like, I obviously we need to see that question answered from them, but I think this team's going to handle business 1 week from now. But today will also help you kind of figure out, what this team does look like going into Rutgers and going into Indiana. Like, I think Nebraska should be the favorite team going into all of those games. But, I think again, like Rutgers early on presents you a challenge. They've dealt with injuries. Indiana's going to play very sound football early on, but I just don't think Indiana has a talent just yet to stack up with a Nebraska team. I think is towards the top of the Big Ten right now.
Hey, so Tim, let me ask you something. How do Fridays or games like this, no pun intended, affect recruiting? Right? It's obviously it's tough with high school, and I know Coach Rule is not always in love with playing these Friday night games, nor are a lot of college coaches. But are there any benefits?
Somewhat. I mean, the only benefit I think of this specifically, like it's going to be a very small visitor list, like a very underwhelming, maybe the smallest they'll have all year. It's mainly just local guys that either played yesterday or are playing tomorrow. And so you're not going to get the in-person visit effect, but what you are going to get is the recruits that aren't playing tonight or aren't really around tonight, or the ones that come home early from their game. They're going to be able to watch Nebraska tonight. And that's really the only big time game that's on tonight. So Nebraska gets another opportunity in front of a national audience. I think the third time they've had that this year, unless you count last week, but I don't think that many people were tuned in for Northern Iowa, at least on TV. But you get another national opportunity to kind of show, okay, like here's the program, here's what we're building, and like I do think Nebraska's done a good job of selling the in-stadium environment over TV. Like people I've talked to that haven't been to a game yet, and I've been able to only watch from TV. They're like, man, it looks crazier than it has in a couple of years. Like as crazy as this crowd has always been, it does look crazier than it has in a couple of years. It's like it's good to see that that's translating over TV because that makes an impact on recruiting for sure.
Yeah, Tim, and it seems like it really made an impact in the last couple of recruiting visitors in the last couple of weeks. how I guess I think sometimes at Nebraska we sort of take the atmosphere for granted, and that recruits should always be enamored by it. But how much different has it sounded the last 2 weeks when you've talked to recruits, especially after that Colorado game?
Yeah, I mean, like I put out a story yesterday with Hunter Higgins, and like just, there was a quote from there that it keeps coming back to, that like guys have echoed like similar sentiments of just like the pageantry and everything that happened in that Colorado game. For Higgins specifically, he was like, it just felt like like when people talk about the 90s winning feeling in Nebraska, like that's what it felt like. And those kids, me myself, like I was born in 2000, like I didn't experience that. I've only seen that on TV. Like all these kids too, they were born even after that, so they've never experienced it. But they've heard stories and they've heard plenty about it, and they're starting to see that again. They're starting to experience that again. Like experience what it's like when Nebraska makes a team quit. Experience what it's like when Nebraska is rolling and the crowd's engaged the entire time. Like I think more than even 2 weeks ago, at least for local guys that have been around the campus, like Christian Jones and Tyson Terry, guys that have been around. I think last week the fact that the student section and the crowd in general stuck through 3-4 quarters of Northern Iowa, despite that game pretty much being handled pretty early on. I think that said a lot more of just like, okay, the buy-in is real right now from the fan base and the university overall.
Tim, when you're talking about kind of I'm on this thing now the last handful of days, probably last 7 to 10 days, about Coach Rule and his roster management. And it started way back at Big Ten Media Days when, we were trying to figure out how he flipped the roster without really flipping the roster. Because he's got old guys, he's got young guys. He's got young guys waiting in the wings. He's got a mature team. He's negotiating the Van Poppels and the Calebs, and he's totally playing the long game while still winning. Do recruits see that? Do you see that roster management appears to be a clear strength of his?
Yeah, like I think recruits see it. I think recruits, like for them, I think what helps with all of them is from recruiting onward, the staff is very honest about how they see these players. Like they're not going to tell a player, okay, well, we see you as this, and then they get to campus and we're going to switch it up. It's like, okay, our plan for you is this. We're going to either bring you along slowly, bring you along fast, and you're going to play this position, this position, this position. Like this is how we see you in the defense or the offense, and this is our vision for you. They've done a really good job of just maintaining that like authenticity with these guys. So these guys don't come on campus and then it suddenly switches up on them, or vice versa, or it's like, they know what their role is. And so it's like, hey, like if this isn't fit for you or you don't see this, like don't come here. Like at the same time, it's like, but I think the fact that they just maintain that authenticity with these guys, that's how you keep guys happy in this NIL era. Like again, there's a lot of guys right now that, maybe in other situations they're getting told they're going to redshirt this year out of the blue. They'll be like, oh well, maybe I'll just keep an eye on the transfer portal and see what pops up there. I don't think that's going to happen with Nebraska, with the guys they're talking to about potentially redshirting this year, even after playing last year or any of that. Just because I think this staff is maintained from the jump, like, okay, this is our vision for you, and this will help the team and you in the long term. Like I think these guys also recognize that they're seeing results too of the development taking place. So it's a little easier to trust. Maybe last year was a little difficult to like, okay, why do you want me to redshirt when I'm kind of making an impact? But this year, it's easier to sell it because it's like, okay, we have this depth, and 2, you're going to play a lot more next year, and 3, you see what a year going up against the number 1 offense or number 1 defense can do for your game. Like for Riley Van Poppel, for example, now in scout offense, he's basically going up against Ben Scott and Micah Mazuka when Micah Mazuka's out there, going up against those guys every single day. That's going to make him a better player. Like he's going to be all the better for that next year because he's going up against those guys in practice every single day.
Tim, I'm going to give you 3 guys. Okay. And I'm not going to call it a tug of war, but there's mutual interest. Either Nebraska's been re-engaged, currently engaged, or he's already in the fold. Which one of these guys will winning at their respective schools matter the most? Okay, it'll make more sense when you hear the names. Julian Marks, who's got the Kansas verbal. Roderick Scholl, who's got the Auburn verbal. Or Mr. Jeremiah Jones, who has the Nebraska verbal. when you look at those three, how much will winning at those respective schools relative to Nebraska matter the most?
I don't think it's Jeremiah. I mean, winning would help with Jeremiah. Like, continuing to win would help, especially with what, like, they're trying to hold on to him compared to Missouri, who's doing what they're doing. But
what about if Missouri continues to win?
Yeah, I mean, that would make a big impact, because I think the big thing there right now is Missouri's kind of selling him on, one, NIL, and two, just the closer proximity to home than Nebraska has right now. I think the Missouri continuing to win helps there. I think the same thing with Schull, just because I have no reason to believe. I think he's pretty locked in from an NIL standpoint over there. But I think with Schull is that one just feels like he feels like a Midwestern recruit. He feels like a Big Ten lineman.
They loved it here. Like, I don't think that was lip service. I can read people, like, they had a general affinity for Nebraska.
I get that recruitment gets me a weird vibe, just because, like, everything about that recruitment and that kid talking to his family, getting a feel for him, he reads Donovan Raiola offensive lineman to me. Like, it just feels that way with him. And the way he talked about it too, he was like, I just love that Matt Rhule was like, I'm just looking for a genuine staff. And I keep coming back to him, like, you really got that from Hugh Freeze? You really got, like, that authentic staff feel, or that authentic head coach feel from Hugh Freeze? Like, I just don't get that from them. And I feel like this was one where Auburn was like, we're in on this top tackle. We have him graded out higher than some other schools. Nebraska has him graded out pretty high, but we have him graded out pretty high as well. And so, like, we're just going to lock him in. And I do think the on-campus environment and some of the off-field stuff at Auburn checks some boxes for Broderick. He's really into, like, beekeeping, and he really wants to do that. And Auburn did check those boxes, but so did Nebraska. And so it's like, I think if Nebraska continues to engage in both these programs, keep winning, I think proximity and the more genuine relationships I believe he has in Nebraska could end up winning out there. Julian Marks, like, that just may be a thing of matter of time, honestly, because that Kansas staff, I think they've kind of hit their ceiling there. And I don't really know. Like, they've got a good a young backup quarterback I like in Isaiah Marshall, but I don't think he's ready to come in and step in for Jalen Daniels, who I don't think is the guy we saw a year or two ago.
Tim, I think this might be the first time in history I've been concerned about losing a recruit because of a beekeeping program. But I did want to ask you about
not a big Jason Statham fan, obviously, because it's a good movie.
You can't watch Inglourious Basterds, but you're gonna drop Jason Statham on me. All right,
and it's totally typecasted too, so it's like it's not like he's mad he kills a bunch of people. He was a beekeeper. I mean, plot twist.
Spoilers, thanks. Tim, I did want to ask you about kind of that authenticity you were talking about with the staff and how much that helps with a situation where I think you could look at it from the outside and see the intention to redshirt Malachi Coleman as a sophomore and of Riley Van Poppel as a sophomore as maybe something that would turn some higher level recruits off. How have you heard any recruits talk about that specifically, or have you talked to anybody about that? Because that I think is something that I think kind of raised some eyebrows for people.
It does. I haven't talked to anyone about it, but I think if you were to ask recruits about it, and again, like, my thing is with those two guys specifically and what Nebraska kind of is wanting to do in terms of building this program up and the way they talk to recruits as well, like, they just manage the communication, and there's nothing really left. Like, there's nothing secret kind of here in terms of just, like, your role. That's not going to get sprung up on you. Like, for Malachi, like that, he needs development, like you needed to develop into a true route runner. Like, there were times last year where it's like you need him on the field just because he's one of the better athletes just on the team, and you need someone that can just get open downfield. You have those guys already now, and those guys can run routes. So let's get Malachi, like again, like, just sit and practice and learn from Isaiah Nair, learn from Jamal Banks, learn how to run routes, like, learn how to practice, like, learn how to do these little things right, and then it'll come together. Like, ideally, the goal is it'll come together after a year of doing this. And I think when you sell it to recruits in the term of just, like, we're all about development here, even if it means, like, obviously we want you to see the field. We understand you want to see the field. but we're about development here, and you're going to be a better player long term for it, because they have the proof in the pudding from the Baylor days, from already the year one. Like, again, like, you think about the guys on this team right now who did sit that year and are better for it. You know, like we talked to Kai Wallen last week, and he's like, yeah, it's easy for me to tell Riley Van Poppel to take that redshirt year because how much it helped me last year. Or you talk to, I mean, even a guy that didn't really redshirt, but just guys you've seen develop year over year, Mekhi Bear and John Bullock. I keep coming back to those guys just because of the improvement we've seen from those two players, and how, like, going into the year, I was like, oh man, I don't know, like, these linebackers are veterans in their experience, and they should be able to hold their own. I didn't expect them to be a strength of the defense. Like, I just didn't expect that, where it's like, oh, these guys are flying around. John Bullock's making plays the way I've heard y'all talk about Bullock and some of the stuff he's done the last 2 weeks specifically. But seeing those guys make plays the way they are, it's like, that's the staff. That's development. Like, how would you not, like, as a recruit, not see that and be like, okay, I trust that their vision for me is correct.
Hey, so let me ask you something, TV, because the Dvorak talk always obviously gets me giddy because I'm Team Rob, but I think a guy that was kind of undersold, especially on the recruiting trail, was EJ Barthel, and all his guys have done under his watch is get better. Under, over, just kind of value. Like, how do you think we think about Coach Barthel?
Yeah, I think he's earning a lot of goodwill, and I think, like, you know, I think he's got to, like, Dante Dowdell, like, hitting the way he has so far has really helped. Like, again, the overall stride. Like, I keep nudging Steve in the press box next to me every time Ramir Johnson gets the ball, and I'm like, he didn't move like that, like, earlier. Like, he was always fast, he was always quick, but he's got a shiftiness to him in, like, the open field now, where he's making guys miss, like, almost in a phone booth, that he didn't seem to have in years past. And I'm like, that came over this last offseason. That was something that the staff kind of honed in. You see the way Emmett Johnson's running now. It's like, okay, like, there's been improvement across the board. So you're seeing the on-field development from Barthel and his guys. But then on the recruiting side of things too, it's like Dante Dowdell. In retrospect, that was a pretty big win, you know, and you know, Javarian Parker, that's a big win. And Nebraska's winning him because of his relationship with Barthel. And you look at 2026 and the early relationships he has, and it's like, okay, Nebraska's in a really good spot with Stephen Walker. They're in a really good spot with Brian Bonner. They're in a really good spot with multiple running backs. And it's like, okay, like, you know, I think AJ got some heat early on, but he's done a really good job of bringing guys in. And I don't even think you can undervalue, like, Connor Booth, like, landing Connor Booth, keeping him in the state, and just a guy that you've kept committed and kept happy even as you continue to add running back talent to the roster. Like, that's a guy that's still willing, more than happy to come to Nebraska, that's going to provide you some, like, you know, a bigger back. I think he deserves some credit. I think obviously Dvorak deserves some credit for what he's doing. And I said this kind of when people were raising pitchforks about Dvorak in back in, like, June, when Dawson Harris committed to Alabama and Christian Jones was uncommitted. And I was like, listen, I've been, like, at A&M, for example, like, I've been at programs where linebackers coaches get this heat for not being able to win out recruitment, but it's like they both, the guy at A&M when I was covering there and the guy here, both did a really good job of building relationships. It wasn't relationships that won in recruitments at the end. It's a combination of different things that specific coach can't account for. But Dvorak did everything he could in the Christian Jones recruitment, and obviously he came out on top with that one. And he did everything he could in the Dawson Merritt recruitment, which that one's not done yet. That one, like, Nebraska's going to keep chipping away. Nebraska's going to have a chance here in December to potentially flip them away on signing day. Like, I think Nebraska's, like, Dvorak specifically put Nebraska in a good spot with a lot of guys, built some good relationships. And you look ahead to 26, Nebraska's in on some of the top linebackers in the country, and it's because of Rob Dvorak.
Tim, speaking of that 2026 class, I believe I read this correctly. You've got Nebraska in the driver's seat for the number one tackle in the country, Jackson Cantwell. Is that right?
As of right now, I do. Yeah, I just think, like, boxes keep getting checked, and, like, talking to him, I think I underestimated some of the, like, the local ties he's got. Like, his mom's from Crete, Nebraska. He's still got his grandparents still live in the state. Like, he's had family members that have played at the program in the past. The proximity to home's a big factor, the opportunity to play in both sports. Like, I think those combination of factors have Nebraska sitting really well early on. Again, this is far from done. And I say driver's seat now when, like, you know, he hasn't really been to LSU like that. He's going to get out there. That's a school he's really intrigued by. He's going to get out to Alabama again. He's going to get out to Georgia again. Like, this is a recruitment that's going to go the distance, that's going to continue to twist and turn. But like, this isn't David Sanders where Nebraska's entering late and like, it's like, okay, Nebraska, like, they're going to be ahead at the table potentially. No, I think Nebraska's got a real contender here. I think it's going to take a lot for a school to come in and be like, okay, here's why we're going to do this, and this better than Nebraska. Like, I think the development that Cantwell's seen from Grant Brick over this first year that he's been on campus has been big, from Gunnar Gatula. Like, seeing the fact that the young guys are getting developed on the field, seeing the fact that, like, he's going to have that opportunity to do both sports and succeed in both sports. And something that, like, I've actually had multiple members of the track team hit me up about this too. Nebraska's track coach, Coach St. Clair, is one of the better throws coaches in the country. Like, he's a guy that's developed multiple guys that have gone on to compete in the Olympics, guys that have led the Big Ten. And obviously, you've seen the success that he's had just in track and field overall at Nebraska. But the fact that he's one of the better throws coaches is something no one's really talking about recruitment, and that's like a relationship is already being built there. And I like Nebraska as of right now, just because of those combination of factors.
Tim, as we get into the Illinois game tonight, you have a feeling about how you think this one's going to go?
Yeah, I mean, my prediction has been 27-17. I think I'm sticking by that. I think Nebraska is able to pull away and win the way they want to with that fourth quarter, where they just hammer the ball. They run for 75 plus yards in the fourth quarter alone type win. I think the advantage here for Nebraska is going to be I don't trust Illinois' offensive line. I think the D line is going to have an opportunity to get after the quarterback a little bit. I like their stable of running backs, but I do think, like, Caden Fegan, it doesn't run, like, as big as he is, he doesn't run as hard as some of the Northern Iowa running backs you saw last week. I think he's a little light between the tackles. Like, he's better in space, just from what I've seen. And maybe that's just like he tricks you because he's so big. It doesn't look like he's running through contact, but he actually is. But I just kind of see a guy that I think Nebraska's going to be able to get their hands on and be able to bring down. I think the defensive back is going to get tested because this is a good passing offense, and Luke Altmaier brings you a little juice. But I think Nebraska is going to have an opportunity to get after Altmaier a little bit. And then offensively, I just trust that they're going to be able to string drives together. I trust that this is going to be a very complex defense that they're going to see. There's going to be Dylan's probably his toughest test so far. But I kind of trust him to make the safe play, to take what's there. And I trust that Nebraska is at least going to be able to run the ball tonight.
Hey, store it in the Rolodex next week, Tim. I'm going to ask you about Cooper Terwilliger.
Okay, I got you.
All right, buddy.
That's our guy, Tim Verghese from Inside Nebraska. Tim, we'll talk to you next week.
All right, talk soon.
See you,
We'll
TV.
be back with more Herd at Sports Radio coming up next. We're halfway through the show here on Herd at Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB, the biggest cricket fan this side of India. And Ravi Lula here from Herd at Sports Bar and Grill.
Wow.
What's up, DB?
Would that be more top to bottom
What do you mean?
or on the old globe?
What do you mean?
This side of India, like up or down or left to right?
Usually like left to right.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people are going through the Arctic to get to India. It's generally not how people go.
I can't believe I set myself up for that, but that's okay.
You know, the pole and you get the magnetism kind of messes with the GPS when you get up there. You got to
Who are you, Galileo or
be
somebody?
careful with the navigation.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, I'm no beekeeper.
Old Copernicus over here. Well, apparently The Beekeeper's not a good movie. I mean, that's what we figured
And
out.
apparently Nebraska needs to bolster their beekeeper program to get some offensive linemen.
What does bolster mean?
Do you think Deion's tried that? Be like, oh, man, we got to get the beekeeping game right.
What does bolstered mean?
What does bolstered mean?
Did want to say, I don't know if everybody had heard yet. Part of the reason not just to make fun of Damon, part of the reason we played that Greg Sharp clip.
Really?
I messed up. I didn't. That's my bad.
Really?
Part of the reason we played that Greg, he's actually not going to be on the call tonight with our guy DB. It's going to be Bill Dolman instead. Greg had a little setback, but hopefully be back in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we're hoping to get him back. Just he's doing okay. Just got to get the platelet count up, and they've moved his procedure from Monday to today.
Yeah.
And it usually takes him a couple of days to recharge. But looking forward to him coming back, and a little different tonight, but it's all professionals. So we'll be professionals, right? It's me, Jess, Bill.
Yeah.
He's familiar with the program. He's been around for as long as I was playing, at least. So got some familiarity there. And Jason Rath, those guys at Playfly do a good job. So we'll rally.
Well, and it's, I guess I'll just speak for me personally here, but
I am going to need you to fix these because he usually does.
Okay.
You can do it over break.
Don't know how that became my job, but all right.
Touchdown!
Why would I know how to fix binoculars?
Because you can fix the thing and then ask me if I can see well. Like that's what he does. So somehow I got messed up.
Okay.
No, I'm honest, God, true. Because if you turn me over to myself and I have to do that by myself, I don't have the stones to ask anybody else in public that won't make fun of me.
Well, I'm certainly gonna make fun of you, but I'll still
I
help.
think it's the top thing that he moves. I don't know.
I think it is too. We'll figure it out. It's all right.
Appreciate it.
I do. It has been great to hear the first 3 games. Oh, these are Big 12 official binoculars.
They're old.
It has been great through the first 3 games to hear Greg, and I know that was his goal when the diagnosis came down was April, was like, hey, let's get to August. Let's get to August 31st. Let's be on the call then. So it's been incredible to hear him through the first 3 games, and obviously can't wait to hear him back in a couple weeks.
Who else can you have like you and I? He's like, me and you, or just you and I? Like he's just funny, man, and he knows how to utilize Jess, and just the chemistry it's a real thing. So we'll be excited to get him back, but we appreciate Bill, stepping in. And like I said, a pro's pro.
Well,
who's going to work the TVs for you?
Yeah, that's a problem.
Do you need me to come in and handle that too?
So Super Russ, who is our engineer, is like getting better at teaching me.
Okay.
But it's a whole new system.
Yeah.
So I don't know who's going to do the TVs. Maybe So Courtney runs the show in the booth.
Okay.
So like once we get there, Courtney's like the TV guy.
Mm-hmm.
Greg does usually tell him what to do, but then Courtney gets the games right. Tonight we won't have to worry about it.
So you don't have much going on.
And so hopefully it'll be the same in the studio unless we want to watch day baseball, because B-Max obviously is a big baseball guy.
Yep.
So we'll figure it out. Like Gloria Gaynor, man, we'll survive.
I mean, Lord knows I empathize with Sharp having to corral you all the time. So
listen, man, I think he takes great joy in babysitting. I'm not as bad as Jess. I ain't, for the record.
Oh, no look past Griesel to Kate.
I find that hard to believe.
Well, I had to call her this morning, and she goes, "You are not waking me up, are you? Really?"
Love that.
I was like, "Shoot, I apologize."
You forget that not everybody's awake when we go to work.
I know. I like, hey, quiet as kept. I did kind of forget.
I do wait until after the show to try and text anybody.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, normal people are not up right now.
It seemed early.
Yeah, a little bit.
Plus, she has a dog. Like, she's got to let the dog out, doesn't she?
I mean, some people's dogs don't wake them up that early.
Fudge, you want mine?
When I was, Jay texted me yesterday. She's like, "Can you let the dogs out?" I was like, "I'm heading down early too. I'm sorry."
Yeah, I wonder what we're gonna do. You'd think I would know, but I mean, communication is like, it's weird.
I mean, my wife.
Who is gonna handle the dogs?
My wife.
Shane, you want to let the dogs out?
My wife likes your dog. She might be able to convince her.
Is she working today?
I think she should be off a little early.
Dinner for 2,000 or whatever it is she does.
I think it's just a lunch today. I don't think they've got a dinner tonight, which is rare on a Friday. But no, it's obviously we wish Sharpie the best, and
yeah, for sure.
Can't wait to hear him back on the call. It's been obviously, like I said, incredible to hear him through the first 3 games, and honestly, I just for him want him to be able to get back and to see like a fun Nebraska team again, right?
Yeah.
I was talking with actually Tim. I was talking about with the other day about just how it's actually fun to watch Nebraska football again.
Yeah, he's a big fan. Like, he likes to high five and fist pump, and I mean, we've never really had a chance to like embrace like fun.
Yeah, like celebrate a fun, good Nebraska team, and so I can't wait to get him back so he can continue to experience that, kind of like the rest of us. We weirdly, I think we talked about this in the off season about like how valuable it is to just have a team you enjoy watching. When it's one of your teams. It's like, the winning's great, and that's obviously part of it, but I've watched some of my teams win that I didn't enjoy that much, right? I think you've I think you experience that with the Dodgers sometimes, where you're like, I don't necessarily love watching this team win.
So probably more the Lakers.
Lakers are
because I can't stand LeBron.
You don't, not a big LeBron guy. Don't love AD. Don't really like the roster construction.
And they haven't really won outside of the bubble.
Yeah.
But you know a good one because I like him now.
Yeah.
I didn't like Shaq.
Oh yeah.
So I didn't enjoy watching those Lakers, even though they were winning.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I don't like that guy. So that's happened.
Yeah.
I'm not a Terry Bradshaw guy.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. And I think people assume when you're winning, it's fun.
Yeah.
Like this is a weird example, but surprise. But like 2013 Red Sox, that wasn't a fun team to watch. That team was trash. They got hot in October. But it's like it was such a weird team. Like I'm not like, oh yeah, Shane Victorino, great Red Sox player, you know. It was just a super weird team. And it's like, okay, they got hot at the right time. Obviously,
without Dave Roberts, we're not having this conversation.
Well, that was 04, baby. Never forget 04. I can still tell you what his stolen bases were in the regular season. He was 38 for 41 in the regular season.
I can still tell you what his postseason record is when it comes to playing for World Series.
As far as I know, he's 1-0 in the postseason. 2004, baby, 1-0. No, but that's part of the reason I've been so, out on the Red Sox these last few years after they traded Mookie. They just haven't been fun to watch.
You know what's funny about that?
Yeah.
I think we had this conversation that I think this is the first time in a long time that Nebraska fans actually like this team. Like
I genuinely I love watching Ty Robinson just wreck people's lives.
That is your guy.
Dude, man, weirdly, I have maybe it's a Sioux thing. Like maybe it started there. Maybe it started earlier in the 90s.
Because he was nice to you in Indy?
Who, Ty?
Yeah.
I mean, no, I don't really remember anything of India. That was kind of a fever dream. But I was like, there's a part of me that just loves dominant interior defensive line play.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just super fun to watch because it ruins everything for the offense almost instantly.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's your guy, that is incredibly satisfying to watch. And that's what Ty's done this year. And so whether it's like Ty or obviously Dylan's part of it too, but even, you go on down the line, like John Bullock's been a hell of a lot of fun to watch this year, right?
Bear, all those guys.
Bear's been fun to watch. Like the 18 plays a game that Princewell comes in and ruins somebody's life.
I actually
that's been pretty fun too.
And like this weird thing about me is that I love watching things be successful when it's not always pretty.
Yeah.
Right. I go back to 93 and 94 where
you like watching people figure it out.
Yeah. That's kind of my jam. And it wasn't always pretty for us and we figured it out. And I'm very appreciative of that.
It's easier to win when you're better than everybody else. Yeah. When you got to figure it out on the fly, that's a little more satisfying.
Sometimes it's not as much fun.
Sometimes not as much fun. We'll be back. More Herd Out Sports Radio coming up next. Welcome back to Herd Out Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and we're brought to you by our friends at Foundation Repair, the presenters of our live breakfast here, which they've still got an hour if you want to come out, get a late breakfast, and get that done. Sausage, please, Sasha. Thank you.
Wait, how come she didn't ask me?
Well, because I texted her. I asked her. I'm trying to help out here.
I'm feeling some type of way.
Well,
I feel like you were very mean to me over the break.
Not me. It was her this time. I didn't do it.
Well, I'm used to you.
Yeah, I'm very nice to you all the time.
Fairly kind.
I'm always nice to DB. This is what people know about.
So, I can go on. You did fix binoculars though.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
But
I can just imagine Bill tonight is going to be like, "Are you serious? This is what I signed up for." I'm just going to be leaning on Benny Mac. I'm going to try not to bother Bill.
Make sure you get out to epconcrete.com to check out all of their services.
Can I text you too?
I'm just going to keep rolling here. They specialize in foundation repair, basement waterproofing, crawl space encapsulation, and they've got over 25 years of experience. Based in Lincoln, Nebraska, they have expertise and are deeply familiar with local building practices and soil conditions, so they can offer you the best tailored solutions. epconcrete.com. DB?
Let's go, baby. Exactly.
How you doing? You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
You seem very hurt right now.
Nope. I'm over Sasha.
You're doing
whatever.
You're doing all right.
It's fine.
A
lot of ganging up.
No, we'd never do that to you.
Yeah. So can I ask you a quick question about the game tonight before we get in deep into our preview?
Yeah.
Are you in or out? Like, don't just regurgitate.
Okay.
Are you in or out on Illinois run game tonight?
Out.
Are you in or out on Illinois making plays outside the numbers?
In.
Are you in or out on Nebraska's improved special teams?
Undecided.
Huh. Which one of those three do you think play the biggest impact if Illinois gets a win?
If Illinois gets a win, outside the numbers.
Really?
Yeah. I think that's the only way they can win.
So you're really out on the run game.
Yeah. I don't think the offensive line can hold up. I don't.
Is this talking to all your Illinois informants?
Yeah. I don't think they can hold up. I mean, listen, every single Illinois person I've talked to is like, yeah, the tackles are pretty good. I don't know about guard, center, guard. You know what's a problem if you can't block guard, center, guard?
Yeah.
You're going to have a hard time running the football against Nebraska's defensive line.
TG said something interesting, and I wonder if this was kind of the prevailing thought. Because remember, after the first game, Nash's snaps were down.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and Coach Rule came back, and he was like, well, it's kind of a pass rushing game, and he's kind of a clogger. Because I think he only had like 29 snaps maybe.
Against UTEP?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was low.
TG says, I'm loving watching Ty this year, but I admit I'm kind of surprised it has worked so well. I wasn't sure that he would be able to play with both Ty and Nash together. I thought with their size that Van Poppel would take Ty's spot and Nash and Ty would rotate. I almost think like that was kind of the prevailing
I mean, you thought that might be the case.
a little bit. But I felt like
Well, you thought one of them might get replaced by Papa. You weren't really Van Papa. You weren't really.
I wasn't.
sure
Yeah, I
which
didn't.
one.
You're right.
But you were kind of on the same page. You're like, I don't know if they can play together.
So I guess I should ask Tony because he said it. But I wonder if that was kind of the prevailing thought, or that came from me.
Like if
I planted that seed, because that's kind of
That's a
what
fair
I
question.
thought. That's kind of what I thought too. But now what they're able to do with Ty, they can play him in a 3, a 4, a 5.
So that's, I think, the thing we didn't know about Ty was that he could split all the way out wide.
Yeah.
And be a pass rusher
He
and
can play
basically
5 tech
play D end as
as a 310 pounder.
Yeah, as a giant human being, right?
So you know who made a living doing that?
Who?
In a similar size that was really, really, really good. But because he could do it and rush the passer from playing in a 4 was Richard Seymour.
Oh, that's
Richard Seymour was a guy that could play in a 4. So like head up on a tackle and still generate pass rush and still stop the
So
passer.
that's him and Vince Wilfork in New England back in the day, right?
Justin Smith.
Oh,
was
yes,
like
for the
that,
Niners.
could play in a 4.
Yes, and he was huge.
Could play in a 4 and because it's hard. It's not, sometimes I don't know if this is good radio, but it's a little techie. Like sometimes like playing in a 4, head up on a tackle.
Okay. So you're not outside the tackle.
So numbers are even.
Yeah. When you're playing heads up.
Odds are gaps.
Okay.
So like a 3 is an outside shoulder of a guard.
So you're between the guard and the tackle.
A 2 is head up on the guard.
A guard. So a nose tackle is a.
I think Nebraska.
0?
Yeah.
Okay.
So a shade would be shaded to the left or to the right.
Yeah.
If you put him in a 1, he's in the gap. He's
between the center and guard gap.
Right.
Okay.
Inside shoulder of the guard.
Outside shoulder of the center.
In the gap. Yeah. So Nebraska used to try to play with 4s all the time, and you have to be. It's hard to find.
That's hard.
It is.
That's really hard.
It's really difficult
because usually you've either got
especially in a 3 front.
Because usually you've got either a smaller guy that can pass rush who needs to be outside to get an angle on the tackle,
or you play gaps and you get in a gap,
or you've got a bigger guy that you want to play in a gap and kind of maintain.
I would venture to say, a good guy to ask because he's played both. He's played in even and odd. Is Jay Moore? Like he's very good at explaining, and I think he would agree.
Another 49er great.
I think of playing in a 4 is the most difficult. And
because the tackles are typically the most athletic,
and it's hard to play
linemen.
and it's hard to play head up sometimes.
Yeah.
In Nebraska's, I've watched this D line over, Chen sometimes would play with 4. Sometimes he would put guys in 2s, which you almost never see, but 2s are good against specific things, right? If you want, take away like inside zone or some schemes. we move our front all the time.
At Westside?
All the time. So
that's something I feel like we've seen more at Nebraska than we expected.
Well, I think that's the whole key to being able to stop the run game with a 3 front. That and having good safeties.
Yeah.
Because one of those guys got to get down into the box.
Having Gift being able to come down or Deshaun Singleton's been doing a lot too.
So I'm going to tell you something about Gift. Gift is playing at a much, much higher level than we're giving him credit for because he's not making a ton of splash plays. But one of the things I think if you gave some true serum to Coach Butler is he knows exactly who Isaac Gifford is, and he's playing to his strengths. So you'll sometimes see him be like a deep hole safety, which you don't see a ton anymore, right? And then you can also see him get down into the box. But one thing you almost haven't had to ever see him do is cover.
Yeah.
Like he's
not great in coverage.
I would.
That's not his strongest.
I said playing to his strengths, right? Because he's limited in some areas.
Not
so I
as
think
good in coverage.
But his versatility in terms of what he's been able to do has helped this defense out tremendously. And he's not gonna get a ton of credit, but his role, man, Gift's a dude.
Is that kind of like?
And it's primarily because of his football. He's a good enough athlete. He's a really good athlete, but he's extremely smart too. So he's versatile.
Could I compare it to another place on the defensive line that maybe we hear about this type of thing more, where you've got a defensive, like a D tackle, like a traditional.
It's the first time I've seen him sober. He is like 4 for 4. It's a little early.
Where you've got like a traditional defensive tackle that's just like, hey, you're just clogging the middle, and you're not going to get the stats, and so people aren't going to think it's super sexy, but because you do your
Those
job.
guys really don't play anymore.
Not anymore, but like 15, 20 years ago, they were super common. I brought up Vince Wilfork a minute ago.
Yeah, he would have a hard time playing now.
Yeah, but that was a guy where it's like, hey, you're not going to rack up Aaron Donald stats. You're not going to rack up Warren Sapp stats, but because you do your job, the defense works.
Yeah.
Is that kind of in a different way the same thing you're talking about with Giff?
Yeah, because he's real malleable, and it looks like he's just standing back there. That's why I roll my eyes at the whole, too high safe. Like, it's not just being in too high.
Yeah.
Right? Like, when you're in middle school football, like BC will tell you, like, in middle school football, the first thing they're going to teach quarterbacks is 1 or 2 high. Like, like I'm pretty certain that that's a thing, right? It's not.
So you think Dylan's going to be able to see that?
So, yeah. So don't regurgitate what these guys are saying without them telling you about concepts, because that's not really what it is.
Yeah.
Right. And I gave the example with I can't remember the Twitter account, Nebraska Huskers East or Established or the EST. Like the clip that he used where we were talking about 2 high to 3, and then Husker X's and O's like gave the actual thing words. Like that's what I'm talking about, where it may look a certain way and you think, oh, you can't take any deep shots, or oh, you have to, it's like captain check down, but you still have to be able to execute that stuff.
Yeah.
And Nebraska started in the dirty 2 high. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they got to 1. They still they could have stopped the run, and they took away the quick passing game.
Right.
Like it can be done. You just have to be well coached. It's not like because these people are playing too high, you can't run offense anymore. Like, I can't believe this is even a thing the last couple of weeks. Don't believe.
You just got to be able to execute.
Don't believe that.
No matter what the defense is running, you just got to be able to execute.
Nobody was saying, oh, defense can't get stops when every rule in America is made for the offense to move the ball.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Figure it out. We will have more coming up here on Herd at Sports Radio. Mike Sauter will be in the building here in just a minute. And you should
he's here.
And you should be at Warner Park tomorrow night, 7 p.m., Union Omaha against Knoxville. It's a top 3 matchup in USL League One. Tickets at unionomaha.com. Kicking off hour number 3 here on Herd at Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, here at our live breakfast show presented by Ep Foundation Repair. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lula. Mike Sauter joining us from Herd at Sports and NEB Preps. What's up, Sauter?
Oh, not much. Have you guys? So I live in the Las Vegas of Omaha now.
I don't know what that means.
Way out there west. Like
okay.
if you're taking the U.S. map.
Like,
Like,
oh,
So
Pahrump,
where's
like,
somewhere?
it's
so
way
where's
out there.
LA? Is that like Gretna?
Yeah, that's like
Okay.
a little farther. And
Wow.
the people that have to drive east to go to work on Dodge Street
Mhm.
with the sun coming up,
Yeah, it's bad.
holy cow.
It's real
Like
bad.
that was intense.
Yeah.
I did that this morning because I had to go to the children's hospital. But I was like, man, people do this every day.
You gotta have
Like-
some good sunglasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is kind of like the Vegas. Like, I mean, we're getting a wing stop now. I got a hot and ready the other day from
Little Caesars. Is Vegas
Grocery
known for
store.
its Wingstop and Little Caesars? That's not what I think of when I think of
There's
Vegas.
like all kinds of stuff. There's like they tried the strip club thing deal out there, right? I don't know if that place is still open.
That's
or not.
closer to my house at 120th and
No,
Center.
no,
You got
no,
the
no,
Club
no, no,
Omaha.
No, there's the old.
They've been advertising
bar.
a new energy drink out there. I
The old
don't
bar
think I can
that-
say the name of what it's called though on the air though.
The old bar that they tried to turn into a strip club. That
Yeah, it was
I
like
don't know
Two
if-
Fine Irishmen, wasn't it? And then they tried to turn it into a
I
strip
was
club.
gonna say the name, but yeah,
Well, it's not that anymore. What does it
No.
matter?
the sign's still up though. Because when I went and got the hot and readies the other day, I was like, huh, the sign's still up. I thought they were changing that. to-
This is gonna sound amazingly dumb.
Yeah.
But that's par for the course. What is a hot and ready?
Are you serious?
It's Little Caesars.
Little Caesars?
Okay.
You
'Cause
never
can
had a
just
hot and
walk
ready
in-
before?
You can just walk in and they've got a bunch ready to go.
Yeah, because you just know me to just crush pizza.
You've never had a hot and ready?
No.
Just
I
call 'em a hot
I
and
am
ready.
not I am not shocked that you don't know because that's not your vibe. That's not what you do.
Yeah.
This is $5.99 for a large pizza
it
that's
was
been
like
sitting there for a little bit. But
a place
hey,
that
man,
had hot and ready bacon, like ready to go, I would expect you to know what
Yeah,
that
I would
was.
know what that is.
But not Little Caesars.
Rub a dub dub. Let's have grub.
Hey, I got a large pizza and some breadsticks. It was $12.
Did you hit the chicken nugget special that I told you about the other
Chicken
day?
nugget. Yes, I did actually.
Robbie was here in between us when we were arguing about McDonald's. Not arguing, but we were talking about how you lose McDonald's points.
Yeah.
Oh, how you lose McDonald's points?
And
don't.
I said, hey, today is what was it? $2.20
It was
piece or
yeah,
$2.10
something.
piece?
Yeah,
Ooh, that's a good deal.
I know.
Oh,
And I
he
was,
went and got it.
$2.
oh, I did.
This dude eats like Zoe.
Back when I was still lifting, when
did.
I had to go do radio shows or something and didn't like have a lot of time to eat, I would go get 2 20 pieces to make sure I got my protein in.
That's a lot.
It is a lot, but it's
220 pieces?
yeah, because you get like it's basically 100 grams of protein. So that would give me
Hey, I heard you guys talking about
That'd give me a good chunk of my protein
honey
for the day.
earlier today.
Mhm.
So, yeah, honey. Speaking of food and 20 pieces and 10 pieces from McDonald's, get honey. Their honey is good with, and that's your dipping sauce with. nuggets.
Yeah, I just don't like honey. This takes everything I have in me to just do. I'm not a honey
Just
guy.
get some tea. Put some hot water. And put
I
some
don't
honey
drink
in
anything hot.
I don't like hot
Not-
beverages
not-
either.
You
not
wear
one-
long sleeves in the summer.
No, I can be hot. I don't like.
Like, what are you
I don't.
talking
I don't
about?
drink
He's-
anything
He's
hot.
too cool to be hot. He's like T
Too
Knight.
Hey man, I saw him on at the North Central last week. He was there,
Yeah.
and I have that clip that I cut up of like I'm too cool to be hot. So and it just ended because I cut it up, and and he hadn't seen that, and I
You
showed
saw
it to
some
him.
good DB play, man. That kind of
Yeah.
got undersold in that game
was
because
good.
it was
North
marred
Central?
by penalties.
Yeah.
But there were some good DBs in that
It
game.
was like 700 penalties.
Is that the game where Central had like 20 on their own?
no,
which
that was
one?
Bellevue West.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That was Central versus Bellevue West.
Because they had like
Central
20
North
for
had
200, right?
like 19. They had like 19 last Thursday.
Yeah, that's wild.
Called-
I can't talk. We were heavily penalized.
Called
Last night.
timeouts. Like
Although, you know the play that everybody was so upset about the swipe to the helmet that didn't get called last night
I don't know.
for Braylon? His nose, it's broken.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. That is when Coach so Coach Lamanji, in full disclosure, we have this no BCD thing, and he's
Mhm.
like, hey, I know I say no blaming, complaining, deflecting. And he apologized to the team. He said, this is our coach in the locker room. He said, hey, I know that that may have come across as blaming and complaining. He said, but I did it for you guys, and he apologized. That was totally to go. Can I get that to go? Can I get that to go? Please? Thank you.
What is that?
She's the best.
Is there eggs on that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
you should
man.
put down there. Thank
Are
you so
eating?
much.
Yeah, I'll take that to go.
I'll eat-
That looks
I'll show
fantastic.
it.
I'll eat it
Oh,
here because I'm not a weirdo. I can eat on game days.
Can I get a to-go container? Thank you.
Yeah. How would
I'm
that
just-
breakfast
I'm-
looks
I'm
good?
temporarily
Give me some
distracted.
Tater tots.
Yeah, just temporarily
Hey,
distracted.
the
That's
bacon
not
here
a-
is really good. by
That's
the way.
not a permanent fixture or anything.
You get a BLT, they put like a stack of bacon on it. So
We were
you-
just talking about how
you
we don't do bacon as the main meat of a sandwich.
What do you do? Okay, when I say BLT, it's more of like a BL because tomato on anything. Is
I
not
low key
good.
like tomato.
That wasn't our objection.
Even
to
though
the
I don't like
BLT.
tomato
I'm just
sauce.
saying. It's a BL.
So
No
like
tomato.
yeah, but it's gonna.
Did that
be
happen in
fun.
the second half?
No, I can't remember.
'Cause
No,
I left at halftime because I had to
No.
watch the JETS.
How are you feeling about watching Nebraska's version or the college version of Nebraska? Get a
the
lead.
pro version of Nebraska.
Pro version.
Yeah, pro version of Nebraska. Get a lead.
Feel good.
Salt the lead.
Man, Aaron Rodgers, man. He can't move. Well, he moved a little bit last night.
So what did he end up throwing for? It was another less than 200, right?
No, he was like 220 something.
Two-
Something.
Did he get
Whatever.
over?
I'm
Yeah,
looking it up.
He was very efficient.
He was super efficient. There's some tight window throws.
Oh, he
too.
ended up at 281.
Yeah.
Did he really?
Dominated the Patriots. I'm saying that loud enough because one person. in this
Patriots are
room-
bad. Like, congratulations. Like, what do you want?
I don't know how
I hate the
bad they
Patriots.
are.
I hate they beat
They're-
the Bengals.
They're
What are you
better.
talking about
they're-
everybody's favorite quarterback, Joe Burrow. Everybody's favorite,
First two games.
Joe Burrow. He's
first two
like the
games of
greatest.
the-
He won one playoff game in his life, and he's like,
Just one, huh?
well, one big one. And he's like, yeah, Joe Burrow's the greatest. I don't know.
I don't know. I think Joe Burrow's pretty
I
good.
think
he's
he's
pretty
pretty
good.
average.
So where are you tonight?
I'm at Oakland Craig.
Oh,
Malcolm
nice.
at Oakland Craig.
The old Clippers and OC.
It's the Dallas Sweat Bowl.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
He still probably liked it both places.
I would imagine. I mean, it's hard not to like that guy.
He's pretty good natured.
Yeah,
How did that win?
won my game of the week by a lot. Talking like that one game had over 7,000 votes.
Yeah, folks in that part of the state are very active on.
It's not
on
even
the
that
internet.
far though.
No,
It's an hour. It's right up the road. It's
Yeah, it's
right
just-
past Fremont.
Yeah,
No, it's really not. I
It's
played a
Oklahoma
basketball
Tyler
tournament there once.
territory up there.
that is his.
Is that where he's from?
Yeah, he's an OC hupper, but his high school
It's-
is
That little town you drive through. I don't know what it is. There's like there's a railroad crossing. That's it.
it's right in between OC
And Hooper.
and Hupper.
Hooper.
I got nothing.
Gosh, man,
We're gonna have to look
I
at a
forget.
Nebraska map.
Nah,
he's
don't
gonna
go
be
that far.
mad because
What's up? They play real football up there. Like I should have
So
stopped by.
our-
I should have stopped by an 8-man game
our
on
offensive
this
line
afternoon.
coaches, his wife is from there, same high school.
That's not Wisner Pilger we were talking about the other day,
No.
was it?
No,
Wisner has a nice golf course, by the way.
that's on the brain, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, were you surprised at Prep Miller West last night? Because I was
No,
not.
I thought that would be as competitive as it was.
So it tells me that Millard West is getting better.
Yeah, and like Miller West is a bad team. They just their schedule has been brutal.
It is horrible.
Like real hard. They're 0-4, but they probably are still a
And,
top 10
and who do
team.
they have next week? I don't think that one is a.
When you start going into district play, I think.
Is it Takema Herman?
And you said you
It's a
did. You said
no.
you said you
What?
didn't.
I'm trying to figure out where Oklahoma Tyler's from.
He'll-
No, it's just like this little town. Anyway, that prep game, I thought it would be a little pivotal for Millard West to win that game. But their district, they likely, if they stay healthy and everything, they're still probably going to be pretty good when it comes to district play, I think, and still make the playoffs. But their wild card points will be, a little dicey with that. So their seed might be a little low, even though they're going to make the playoffs.
Micah was letting
Who,
me
Millard
know.
West?
Micah was letting me know not to sleep on North. Is that kind of a tell-it game tonight?
Tonight, yeah, big one because Kearney lost, pretty handily to Millard South, but so will everyone else. Going out,
They go to Grand Island next week.
who does Millard West?
Yes.
Oh man,
Tough.
North going to Kearney is much more of a bigger deal than Kearney going anywhere else because they're used to doing it, right?
Yeah.
North leaving
I remember having to
cities.
go there a couple times.
Yeah, like some of those dudes have never been past Lincoln in their life, if Lincoln at all. So it's a little, it's a little more dicey. But it's a good time for them to just believe in each other, trust each other, be together.
He told me that he could easily see. Now, keep in mind he's 14, but could easily see North being there as a like a potential semifinalist.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's interesting because he does have some young pieces.
I think that's fair. I mean, they got to get a little healthy at running back. They got dinged up last week in the back end of their defense is pretty young.
Yeah,
talented
because
but
both
young.
Dortch and Darian are juniors.
Yeah, they just and haven't played a ton, right? Don't have a ton of experience, but up front they're really good. So I mean, Tyson Terry just wrecked Central last week. It was.
What did you think about? What's the trajectory for Bellevue West for you?
I will say this: them coming back and fighting back a little bit was positive. So last year that team would have laid down.
That 4th and 2 was a great play call.
Yeah, I mean, still calls good play. I mean, the scheme is fine. It's just
That was a great play call. Like I don't want to overdo it, but I tip my cap there. Like that was a fantastic. That was a fantastic.
I mean, there's a level of.
I also like the fact that they have a DC. And this is no disrespect to anyone previous.
Yeah.
Like he's willing to be different to be to try to be effective.
Well, changed.
They're undersized.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got different looks with pressure.
They changed their defense from a 4-man front to 3, whatever they're running. It's like a multiple defense thing. Like you could say 3-3-5, but it's kind of weird.
He seems pretty creative.
But they changed it like
I'm biased.
They changed it in like July, like the week of camp.
Yeah.
I mean, that's late to change it because of just the personnel. So they needed to do that. The James brothers, though, they're going to be good. The sophomores, they're going to be really good for Bellevue West.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, special teams, you got to clean that up. I mean, you can't kick it into the back of a guy when you're trying to punt. You can't give up 2 kick returns, things like that. Tavion Jenkins just.
I liked our kickoff cover. I liked our special teams.
Not kicking it to like coughing in it a little bit. Or,
and we're covering, but like our guys.
That was good.
So the good thing about seeing that is, like everybody has to understand. You'd like for everybody to understand that everybody has a role,
right?
Right, and special teams matter. And our kick coverage, we pay a ton of attention, pump protection, like that stuff. That's ultimately going to matter. I can't wait to go back and watch.
Oklahoma Tyler's hometown is Yuling. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, because they had a little so there's a little itty bitty bar in Yuling that I've been to.
Really?
Yeah, it looks like an old schoolhouse.
The bar does?
Yeah,
that's great.
Dead Dog Series. Like
it probably was an old schoolhouse.
I don't know. His mom used to run it. Was Stan, and I've been there a couple times. But yeah, it's Yuling.
How far is Yuling from here?
It's between.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah,
it's Logan View and.
That was his high school.
I played at Logan View,
but
that was his high school.
It's right south of Logan View.
Coached at Logan View.
There's a train track.
That's where it is.
Yeah.
They've
got that cool.
He was wrestling like 78 pounds.
They've got the cool dome stadium there.
I think he's under 100.
Who?
Tyler. Swear. Ask him.
Yeah,
I'm dead serious. He wrestled at like 98.
Yeah. No, I believe you. I could see him being like a skinny little high school kid.
Dude, the only thing big on him is his neck and his head.
Dana White looking.
Got a head like a neck like a pit bull. Hey, how much of a litmus test tonight is this for Millard North and Millard South though? Much or no?
Not. I mean, maybe more so obviously for Millard North.
Was the eye popper last week Prep doing that to Southeast?
Yeah, 100%. Shutting them out. Yeah, 100%.
So I hate the transitive property. We played Millard West. I think we know what we're dealing with, but I did like the fact I think they're getting better. Prep shuts out Southeast. Last night is a dogfight with Prep Millard West. Should I be careful about too many takeaways from Prep. Southeast? I think I know who Prep is. So maybe I'm clueless on Southeast.
Yeah, I am. I mean, I don't. And then last night they win a big city game in Lincoln, but them getting shut out by Prep was very surprising. I'll say that. I was like, whoa, like supposed to be the best team in Lincoln. You know, like
I need to go back and look at that because it's in the huddle pool.
yeah, I would be interested.
Well, I saw
Jacob Ruby had a good game.
Well,
Like, he's
they
good
shut
back.
Cash down. It's like
Yeah.
he had like 12 for 31
That's
or something
crazy.
like that. Like I was like,
And that's shouldn't be normal. So I don't know. Like, is Lincoln that far? Is the gap that far? Or is Prep better than we think? That's the two takeaways from that game.
we play them later. I don't know.
Yeah. Isn't that weird? Because you got like in the last, I don't know, forever, you played them
I
first
think
or
they
second
want to.
game.
I think they want to run the football.
Mhm.
Who, Prep?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
They want to run the football.
to kind of know how they want to play. So I don't.
Their two backs are good though.
Yeah, they
Ruby
yeah.
and Angela Walker.
They-
I like Angela Walker.
and they're just different enough to keep you honest.
I mean, are we possibly putting too much stock in the results of one game for Prep Southeast? Like where maybe it's just an aberration.
maybe
I mean, it's high school, that happens.
it does.
Right.
It does.
There's
It-
weird results sometimes. Like you guys going out to North Platte 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whatever. what's the
Yeah,
reason?
and I don't think if we
Like, that's
play, I don't think if we played Millard West next week, the game would be.
Yeah, it looked the same way it did
Yeah. So
last
I mean, I
week, right?
agree with you.
So like I just wonder, and I get it, like this is what we do, right? But I just wonder, like, okay, if we can't figure out what that game means, maybe that's what it means, is that it's an aberration. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Maybe a little more truth.
You
to it,
think?
though, I
but
think.
Maybe South. Okay. But what is Wahoo as good as I think they are?
Wahoo's pretty good. They gave up more points than I thought last week, though. Like they're still very good.
What do you think happens with Auburn?
Auburn and Ashland
Yeah.
tonight, dog fight.
Auburn number 3 in football
Listen,
is interesting to see.
If Auburn can win this game, they'll run the table, or should.
What about Seward?
Seward's really good. That's a tough trip to Scottsbluff. I called Coach Hall. We talked on Tuesday night, and I just asked him. I said, "Hey, like, you've watched film, game plan already ready. Like, I know what you guys are going to do, and I think I know what Seward's going to do." And he's like, talking to Judd Hall, the Scottsbluff head coach. He said, "Man, that quarterback is really good."
He's legit.
And I was like, I've been saying it for a while. Like
He
since I
is.
saw him in June, I was like, man, Tristan Haas, very good quarterback at Seward, very good. And he said the thing about him is just he can extend plays with his legs. So that
So
one is
a lot of pressure on Kelly tonight.
yeah, he's gonna have to have a good game, and they're just trying to run the ball and do what they do, play defense. But Seward, them being undefeated, if they can go out there and win and be undefeated, going out there is a whole different animal. I mean,
We have Central next week. What do you think about Central? Because I don't think. I mean, tonight is what it
Yeah.
is.
Torrey Pittman's really good. I love him. I
He
think
looks the part.
that interception he had last week was phenomenal. I
You
mean,
you keep saying that. You're
I
not
say you
gonna
like
get-
the other corner
that
better,
interception.
right?
I like what?
You like the other defensive back for Central better, right?
No.
No.
Yeah.
No. I was comparing Darian and Pittman last week. Their games.
Yes.
where
Yeah.
Darian
Darren had
From
more,
North.
more
From
than
North.
yeah,
Yeah,
more
okay.
than held his own.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. He caught 2 long touchdowns.
But doesn't get the run that Pittman does.
Not yet.
Yeah.
But
He's coming.
he's coming.
He'll be fine. Yeah. He'll
He's
be.
he's I think
He's on the Donovan
now
Jones.
that I think is Micah's favorite player.
DJ.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he likes it. He thinks he's mean spirited.
Yes.
He's just like that's how I would play.
Is that why
like,
Micah likes me? Because he thinks I'm
Yeah,
mean
he's just
spirited.
like that. He's like that. He's just unbelievably competitive, and nobody's talking about him. Like he gets hyped for
Central-
Darian.
Back to Central up front though, they just have to be better, especially offensive line, and just like how to game flow. Like
I give
needs
you
to be
I give you
better.
a sneaky one that I think's kind of flying. I don't know about impact, but I think it's important for Papio South. They have Westview tonight.
Yeah.
Westview might be okay.
Yeah. Well,
They had
their
a big
schedules-
win last week, right?
Like
A big win every week.
because they were young and he didn't get seniors and
Coach Ryan does a good job. He's a good
I'm
coach.
super biased because I
Yeah.
like him as a person.
Right.
So it's like
It's a big game for Papio South.
I think so too. because they kind of got the ground game going last week.
And they
A
got
little.
blown out. I mean,
But so
but they ran. I mean, they ran Jones a ton.
Yeah.
Like, I was there. And they ran him a ton. It's just they were low.
like that's one of those games where I'm like, I might tell me the trajectory of both programs.
Yeah. Because
little, right?
if Westview can win that game, then it's like, okay, like
They
maybe
get a little
more for real.
Yeah, they get a little more.
Your
momentum.
schedule ticked up a notch, like you beat that game, won that game, and you're 4-0.
But your dark horse is still Papio.
Papio La Vista. They're okay. They are undefeated. Their schedule's been a little lighter than everyone else in the top 10. I still think they're pretty good. Like I think they could make a run at it, like a semifinal run, maybe.
I got to go back to Coach Williams at the summer league game at Millard West. He came across as a guy that likes this football team.
Yeah, they're good. They're huge.
And part of that is just his demeanor. I mean, he's confident, but
they're huge
I
up
was like,
front.
okay, I'm vibing.
Like they're really big up front. They can run it. Their two little receivers are really good. I mean, quarterback play can be consistent. They'll be fine.
All right, well, safe travels. I'll be in Lincoln with Robbie.
I'm gonna sit here for the next.
Okay.
Coming up next, we're going to get to Bet On It, brought to you by Warhorse Sportsbook. Get back into Nebraska and Illinois, as well as some other games going on in a good college football weekend here on Herd Out Sports Radio. We're back here on Herd Out Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lula. Mike Sauter still here with us
For
on
some
the
reason.
Pillar exterior
I'm
stage.
supposed to be here for an hour.
Hey, Dallas said get it right.
Okay, sweet.
Dude, is that coach you guys were talking about? He DMs me not all the
No,
time.
he's
Oh,
AD.
Okay.
Oh, he used to coach. He used
yeah,
to
okay,
coach.
yeah.
He kind of does it
still
all.
coaches
He
a
does it
little
all.
bit.
I didn't make that connection because it's spelled different, so I was like, oh,
Yeah,
like I was thinking like Montez Sweat, not
get off my neck.
Nobody's on your neck, man. I don't know.
I'll see that guy tonight. I'm gonna see that guy tonight.
Oh, shoot. shoot.
Make sure you get out to Lincoln Sportsbook or the Omaha Sportsbook for Warhorse, where you can bet on nearly every major sporting event, straight bets, parlays, props, in-game props, all of that kind of stuff. Get to warhorsecasino.com if you need any more details on their events coming up as well. DB, it's a pretty good slate of college games this week.
Yeah,
Did you know
except
Nebraska
for the
plays
early games tomorrow. Those blow.
Yeah, the early window is not great, but later in the day, it picks up.
I know. I was hoping for something good because I'm looking for a reason to have to leave the high school, but apparently it's going to be the JV game because I wanted to be able to say, hey, such and such plays at Big Noon.
Yeah, I got to go work. I got to go.
But then it's like, no, nobody get plays. I mean, I guess Clemson, NC State is in that window.
You could tell Lamont you got to go play tennis with me or something, get some workout
I
in.
don't think that let me. He'd
You don't
be like,
think he'd-
I think he'd look at me sideways and be like, how much do you like working here?
Be like, yeah, depends on the day. Depends on the day. So I wanted to ask you though, because I think we're going to learn some things about some teams tomorrow.
Yeah.
And there's 4 games in particular I'm looking at. You could probably guess 3 of them.
Clemson, NC State.
Nope. USC, Michigan.
Yep.
Oh, that's a big one. Yeah.
Minnesota, Iowa.
Oh, I don't have that one on here.
Oh, fudge. That'd have been in my as a
Be
Big
like-
Ten guy. That's a good one.
Bro,
That is a good one. That is a good one.
Hey, that'll be like 4-2.
I feel like I already know what both of those. I feel like I already know what both those teams are.
There'll be a couple of safeties.
Did you hear what this dude just said?
I'm trying not to.
4-2.
Three safe.
Shohei Ohtani with a 3-run dunk.
Yeah.
I feel like I already know who both those teams are, but maybe that I'm just being arrogant.
Minnesota and Iowa.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're out.
Oklahoma State, K-State.
That
Is
they
that
don't
in there?
play each other.
Or they don't next week. Sorry.
It's
My bad.
Okie State and Utah.
That's on there.
That's
a
one.
big-
That's
yeah.
got to be one.
Yeah, that's on there. That's mine. That's one of
Okay. Let's go. Huh.
I think there's one more
Give me the conference.
Oh, Tennessee, Oklahoma.
SEC, Tennessee, Oklahoma.
Well, I don't know, man. Something is disturbing about that line. I would have made Tennessee at least a 10-point favorite.
Yeah, I would have put them at like 13.5.
What is it?
It's like 7. Right?
6.5, I
that's
thought last time I saw. It
That
might have changed, but
Doesn't
That's
seem right, does it?
yeah.
No.
Oklahoma has looked bad the entire season almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be the first best opponent Tennessee's played so far. I want to see what the offense looks like.
I mean, they had to pull away late last week against Tulane.
Yeah.
And it's 6.5.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
That game's
Everybody's fawning over Tennessee. That is danger time
that's why
for Heupel.
that's why it's on my list. And then there's one more that I'm not sure you'll get this one.
Give me the conference.
Big 12. It's a team I've had a weird affinity for in the past, but one of the teams in there.
SMU?
No, but this team has beaten SMU.
Oh, this year?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know.
yes, I do. Yes, I do. It was supposed to be a game in which I had my eye on, and it turned out to be much ado about nothing.
I don't know.
Give it to me.
K-State BYU.
Fudge, man.
Oh yeah.
I really, really liked.
What is that
Talk
line?
about a
7?
phone booth game.
I really, really liked BYU for a while because of the way they played. But
That's a phone booth game. That's gonna be some.
let me find the line here.
BYU and K-State.
Oh, dudes
K-State
hitting.
can run the ball.
That's what I
too,
mean.
though.
Dudes just like man,
Stylistically,
that's
I feel like that's going to
alignment
be a
game.
fun game. What do you think the line is?
Where
What
is
would
it?
you put it at? It's at BYU.
Oh,
Ooh. 4.
I would make K-State a. Man, I might make K-State about an 8-point favorite.
6.5.
I would go
Sounds
like 4,
close.
4.5.
6.5 point favorite.
Yeah, that's about right. That might be it. Shoot, play that.
That's a sneaky game.
Play that.
You want what? You want Kansas State?
I think Kansas State. Yeah, that's a good number. I would lay the 6.5 on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a better team, and I think BYU will get some love just because of where it's played.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I didn't love BYU.
No, but I think that is kind of a prove it game for K-State.
You like Utah?
Against Oklahoma State?
Yeah.
If Cam Rising's healthy, I always like Utah.
So Vegas apparently doesn't care.
I do. I'm obviously.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. I mean, only
Because
2.5 for Oklahoma State.
Less
At
than
home?
a key number at home, all things being
That's a
equal.
pick 'em,
I just don't
basically.
think you can take Okie State.
If you're Okie,
I think you take Utah or you lay off.
if you're at so Okie State minus 2.5 at home, that basically means I think it's a pick 'em. If Cam Rising's healthy, I'm all over Utah. If he's not healthy, but I'm not going to know really until I see it. So that might be one of those like live in-game bets I like to do.
Yeah, you
But-
are looking. How do you do that?
You got to be there for.
Okay,
You got to
yeah,
be at Warhorse
Gotcha.
for the deal there to make sure you get the live lines. But yeah, that's one of those where if I see him and I like the way he looks early, usually you won't get too much line movement, so I can still get the value that I like on a guy like Rising.
You know, kind of off the grid. What I want to see:
What's that?
Cal and Florida State.
I don't want to see that because I think Cal's going to beat him. Florida State's not good. I think that team's quit, if I'm being honest with you.
Oh, well, you said that after week 2. You might be right.
Yeah, I think there's something that happened there, and I don't know what it is because on talent alone, that team should be 2-1 at worst.
Is Florida 6 points better than anybody?
Nope, not a soul. Maybe Kent State.
But I mean, Mississippi State did just get their doors blown off.
But yeah, by Toledo.
Yeah.
That was I don't know what to do with that, but that should not be 6 points for either of those teams.
I can't believe you're not in on Minnesota and Iowa. I am captivated.
I mean, I'm going to watch it.
I can't wait.
I'm going to watch it, but I feel like I know who those teams are.
I mean, I get it. It's going to probably be muddy and a gross game to
I'm
watch.
less interested in NC State Clemson than I am in Minnesota Iowa.
You know what number seems deceptively low?
What's that?
How is UCLA only a 21 or 22 point dog to LSU?
I don't think people like LSU. I don't think Vegas likes LSU that much.
UCLA just got their doors blown off at home by Indiana. So they're going to recover, go on the road to Baton Rouge.
I'm not telling you they're going to.
That's just, it's just interesting. Right?
I don't
it's like,
think. I don't think
that
people,
line doesn't look right.
I don't
either.
think people trust LSU.
Also, why is Purdue going to Oregon State?
They won't be doing that again.
That's crazy.
No,
Why would you do that?
that's a bad scare. They should have gotten out of that game.
Yeah.
Is there a game?
No, I'm serious.
That's
They're in trouble.
Is there a well? Don't get out of a game with Lane Kiffin. He'll get mad at you.
Dude, how about- yeah, he just publicly chastised Wake. But I guess that is taboo. Like there are a lot of coaches that don't like that.
Well, especially after you play one half of the home and home.
Yeah,
that's
Yeah.
messed up.
yeah. Well, we saw a coach here try to pull that off.
Yeah, and we made fun of him for a year, for amongst other reasons. But
Yeah.
that always came up, right?
Oh yeah.
Is there a game where you're looking at the line and you're like, that's a juicy one?
Yeah, like I really like Vanderbilt. 20.5 at Missouri.
You like them to cover. You think that's a game they can win?
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far, but
Well, I'm not saying play the money line, but just like in a football sense.
Oh, I was like,
I could see that thing being late in the fourth.
Yeah.
I'm telling
Taking
you.
them into deep water.
I don't like Missouri.
I'll say, how good do you think Missouri is?
I'm not
That's
a-
the real
I'm not-
question
I'm
here,
not
right?
I'm not a Cook guy right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like. Is
it possible Vandy has the better quarterback in that game?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because some people are a little enamored.
Yeah. Well, he's kind of nice.
Yeah. Well, that's why. I mean, Crook's obviously the better prospect, but I just meant in like tomorrow. Is it possible that I don't know how to Paiva?
Yeah. Pavia.
Yeah, I'm not trying to butcher it.
I like.
Like, is it possible he plays better tomorrow than Cook?
Yeah.
Arizona State at Texas Tech. Arizona State's a 3-point favorite.
I think Arizona State's not too bad.
Better than we thought.
Yeah.
Real quick before we get out of here and get to Vers, Nebraska at about 7.5-point favorite over Illinois. Is that too big, too little? Right on.
Not quite enough. The line's about right, but Nebraska covers.
I've got Nebraska by at least 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's a 30.
least 10,
That's a
yeah.
30-17 game.
Yeah, I'll give a prediction here in a minute, but I've got it a little more.
28-17.
We'll talk to Matt Verzal coming up next here on Herd at Sports Radio. Wrapping up the show here on a Friday at Herd at Sports Bar and Grill. That's DB. I'm Robbie Lula. Mike Sauter here with us as well. We're joined now by our guy Matt Verzal, former Husker, owner of Paisans Pizzeria. What's up, Verz?
What up, dudes?
Hi, buddy. How we doing?
We are above the dirt for another day.
You're not counting them down?
Well, some people go to church. I just wake up, say, hey, thanks, big guy, for another run at this, and we'll see how the day goes.
Wow.
I saw you the other day. I was driving by. You were getting in your little red truck, by the way. I did think
My
about stopping.
awesome two-door Tahoe.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Hey, how'd the weekend trip go? Did you get accomplished what you wanted to?
Down to the Northern Iowa gig?
No.
When you had us set up with a guy to help us get those pizzas to the South Stadium, but he didn't answer his phone, so I had to carry 15 pizzas across the walking bridge against the flow of traffic.
Oh, wow. He's coming at you right now.
And
Let's go.
I mean, just
No, the Dallas trip went good. We got done what we needed to get done.
Okay, first of all, let's go back to the
He almost
by the
said
way,
a fudge right there.
Shout out to your beautiful wife Jenny and her friend, because without them, I would have been screwed.
What
But no, you did. You tried to help me out, and I do appreciate that. I just, at the time it all was happening, I was like, oh man, I'm in trouble. And then Jenny texted me, and she's like, I'm at the gas station across the walking bridge, and I was like, I'll see you over there. I was like, we'll up them over there.
Yeah, I barely even saw them. Like they drove. Like that was the craziest thing. They made a party out of it. That's all they did.
Oh yeah.
So
it was.
Did you and I appreciate that? Because bumping into you leaving, you were the last person I thought I was going to see. Hey, dude.
Well,
I was like,
so
whoa. I'm like, who is that?
So in the summer, Blake Anderson, who played for me and played left guard for Northern Iowa, had sent me a video. And whenever your former players send you a video, you get a little antsy. But it was like a house party.
Uh-huh.
And so he's kind of panning the crowd, and everybody's having a good time. And it gets to this one, I think it was the Pryor kid, and he looks at the camera and he says, I want some effing pizza. And I was like, oh, God. So I texted Blake,
So I'm a sucker for my old players. And I was like, yeah. I was like, I'll somehow get you pizza after the game. And so thankfully to Jenny and her friend and you, and we got her handled.
So, so the Priors know the McDonald's who was at Westside, and they all had like the Prior shirts on. And so I said, and McDonald like DM'd me during the game, and he was like, hey, went to school with those guys. They're from Iowa. And so I was leaving, and I said, hey, the McDonald's say hi. And they looked at me like, who first of all, who are you?
Yeah.
And why are you patting me on the shoulder? Get out of here. So I was like, yep, well, just saying hello, passing that along. But that was a nice little soiree you guys had going on over there. It was like old family week.
Well, I think that's how it was. There was just families waiting for the kids to come out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was cool. That was the first time in 10 years I'd been to a game. So got to talk to Foreman and VJ and all that stuff. So that's always entertaining. And John Crippen. You remember John Crippen?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, he was there. I was like, dude, I have all due respect. I mean no ill will when I say this. But my dad and I used to sit in Section 23. I was like, I would just watch you just light people. he just smiled from ear to ear. He's like, thanks, man.
Hey, so let me ask you something. What's the difference when you watch UNI's run game and how it's counter, it's, it is downhill, right? Ton of pullers. What's the difference in like seeing that 1 week versus what you may see against Illinois with some of this other kind of gap scheme? Because not all run game is created equal, obviously.
Yeah. We'll disagree.
Oh, so you think so you think zone is like power?
I think it's just when you have I don't think the play matters when you have a bunch of dudes that have repped it enough that they can just execute.
Okay.
I think we dig far too far into it. Did you see Belichick talking to Long and Ryan Clark and Ocho Cinco about Callahan, or not Callahan, but about the stretch play?
Yeah.
It literally, he called it stretch like we called it.
Yeah.
It was the same play.
So you didn't have to bristle up that somebody called it like outside zone?
Pulling is pulling, and man blocks are man blocks, and double teams are double teams. We ain't building bombs. We're playing football. And if you can keep the system simple, like I asked Blake, I was like, what was the plan? He said, if you cover the center, we are beating the snot out of it. And then we're going to try to get to the second level. Pretty effective. Like then what happens? Like then if you cover guards, then you probably more likely have some pulling going on. So we take a simple game. We take checkers and we try to make it into chess.
Okay. Can we get back to the variations you think between Illinois and Northern Iowa? Do you not see any?
I think that what Nebraska learned
since running game is just running game.
I think what Nebraska learned in that game was that they can be moved. Like they had their run of it the first couple games. But then you caught a team. I don't think there was a better game you could play than Northern Iowa before Illinois, because it kind of refocuses you on getting back to great technique and getting back to feet moving and hands and all those kind of things. And so after that, then it's just playing. Like we need those steps for the first two, and then away we go. If they want to run gap, they can run gap. It's football at the end of the day. If they want to run zone, inside or outside zone, stretch as it used to be called, they can do that. It's just 2 steps and be back explosive again and just play it. Like just run around, fly around like they do so well.
Were you pretty impressed with how hard UNI's backs ran? Because I was.
Buddy, if I'm 230 and I get a 6-yard run at you, I'm just like going downhill. It's like, hey, dog, we're going to meet in that hole and we're going to figure it out. And you might win some and I might win some. I was actually kind of impressed about how nimble those dudes were for as big as they were.
Right?
One of them threw spin move in there, but they had big backs that knew to go downhill. and it's kind of what they are. It's their MO, and they execute well, man.
Vers, what did you think about Lutovsky in for Mazuka at guard on Saturday?
I think he's still evolving as a player. I think he there's a couple little technique things like he still gets a little bit out over his toes. I thought it was the best game he had played as a Husker, so I think that's a great sign.
Nice.
Because if you have 2 guards, that's awesome. When you get a 3-guard in there, you know, a 3-guard rotation, now you got fresh guards, and the production doesn't drop off. There is a little bit more of an edge when Mazuka is in there. He's just an aggressive dude. And so we'll see what happens, but I thought Lutovsky made some good progress. And if he sees this as an opportunity to get himself more playing time and he just builds off that, I think that's a huge thing for the Nebraska offensive line as the season progresses.
When you're taking a look at the kind of like the evolution of this offense, is it different than what you think it needs to be to win or to compete at a high level in the Big Ten, or is it about the same thing?
I think they build on things that they're good at. Okay. And in that, it's like, okay, in the first, series are like, okay, we're going to probe a little bit here and see what's going to work today. And I think they knew that, with Northern Iowa's size up front, they didn't really have to get super anxious about like a whole bunch of pass rush. And they were able to take advantage of that. I think if the coaches, if you'd ask them, they probably would have expected it to be a little smoother as they ran it, but they still did a nice job of running it. It's that endless pursuit of the perfect game that all coaches look for that never find, right? But, there's things that you can see that just kind of build and build. And some of it, too, is the kids become more confident in the play and the play call. You can see that kind of shift in their brain as things are called. If you watch body language when the huddle breaks and those kind of weird things that old players and coaches watch.
Oh, I think that's
huge.
Huge.
I like where they're headed.
Am I old? Because I think that's huge. I'm glad you like. I think that's a big deal. It's pretty understated, in my opinion.
There's people on other stations that say body language is nothing. It doesn't mean anything. And then my question to them is, great. I'm not big timing you. I'm not saying anything, but what's the level you've played at? Because if you don't think body language matters and attitude matters, you don't know sports. Period. Like that's like you can see sometimes in the past couple of years, they would break the huddle and heads would go down, or they'd look at each other like, we are running this BS right now. But now they break it and their heads are up and they're looking and you're finding an assignment and where's this at and where's that at. So body language matters.
That's our guy, Matt Verzal, former Husker owner of Pison's Pizzeria. Verz, we appreciate it as always. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Matty.
Damon, who'd you have last night?
Bellevue West.
How'd it go?
Plus 30.
You won?
Yeah.
All you had to say was you won.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't have to go there.
I didn't want to say the score.
I'm getting Clipper text here. Who's Malcolm got tonight?
Oakland
Craig.
I'll be there.
Oh, that's Sauter's game of the week?
Yeah.
What are the records of the two teams? Both undefeated?
Unbeaten.
Yes.
Oh, Mikey, you're about to get some hype atmosphere and some good food.
Big time in Oakland tonight. Yeah.
Appreciate it, Verz.
It's in Oakland?
Yeah.
All right. I'm taking the Clippers.
All right, buddy.
No, I ain't coming. It's the beautiful Jamie Hoskinson's birthday today. I'm not going to tell you what number.
Oh, Lord.
But that lady is a saint amongst human beings for putting up with those poor turds that she lives with.
Wow. Shots fired.
All righty, Verz. Have fun.
All right, buddy.
We'll talk to you later.
See you, boys.
More Herd at Sports Radio next week here, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR, and Lincoln.